Oh, there we are. Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. It's your old pal Jake, and right now I'm just watching some vidgeons and having thoughts about politics and approaching this show with a slightly different format. Here's the deal for the next little bit. Y'all know I change it up pretty much weekly. Uh, Here's the deal. If you guys have a thing you want to talk about, a something you want to come up with a plan for action on, I'm happy to discuss it here live. I also intend to keep doing the same old. Where if I see an issue that I feel the internet could get involved in, we who are meeting on the internet would take an interest in. For example, the uncommitted movement. I'll keep presenting it to you. But for a long time, we've been trying to establish the system that we have now, which is pretty simply taking calls, communications live, and playing videos on the same system. Well, we can do that now. Finally, it's here. This dummy figured it out somehow. So that's what we're going to do. But also, I've become convinced that the main problem in the US is the fact that 70 million of us are choosing to ignore reality, and that must be addressed. At the very least, I feel an obligation to attempt to address it. So, for that reason, I welcome MAGA voters. I'm going to ask you to be good hosts with me because there's going to be temptation to holler at them because we're operating under two different sets of facts, and it's very, very frustrating. It's okay for you to be frustrated by that stuff and to even perhaps give in to the frustration. That's okay. Within your own life. But in the comments, if somebody from MAGA shows up and they're trying to pick a fight, just encourage them to call in. I'll provide the link. We'll hash it out there. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it bum you out. And also, don't chase them off. They are who we need to convince. I know they're in the wrong. If you came here at the beginning of the stream, you know they're in the wrong. We don't need to be self conscious about that. We don't need to worry that somebody might see what they're saying and go, oh, well, maybe Hillary Clinton is drinking adrenochrome siphoned from, it's just, we got to talk to them. So I ask you that up front. Understand that that is one of the goals of the streams these days. Cool. In the meantime, since they are a timid bunch, let us watch some of the there we are. Some of the things that I think is interesting. Such as this. I'm really into this channel lately. This is a lawyer who talks. This collar's killing me. I used to have those little tabs that go in it, but I lost them, and now I can't keep it pointy. This is a lawyer that just breaks down a lot of what MAGA's up to, what Trump's up to. He was talking about a post I wasn't even aware that that Trump had shared. Let's have a gander. Oh, let me also shout out the channel here. The channel is Defiant Lawyers Nullifying Systemic Racism. I'm going to play a little bit of this while also adding the link to the description, which I should have done from the jump.
Truth Social of Kamala Harris. It is despicable. Let me show you what I mean. This picture. That's Kamala Harris's image on what appears to be a coconut with people around her celebrating her candidacy. All right, let's go in a little closer and take a look at this shameful, racist picture. Trump reposted this, I'm told. Look at Kamala's face. It's dark. And then there is the light part. So he essentially, or whoever did this, and Trump obviously is endorsing it because he reposted it, is basically portraying her in blackface. I mean, this is stone cold racist. Where does he get off treating this black woman like that? And the black men who are around him, why are they silent? Why do they not at least say, Mr. President, this is racist. We can't go along with this. Why don't they think about their own children or their own wives? Like Byron Donalds, he has children, biracial children. He should.
Yeah, that shocks me. JD Vance as well. He's got biracial children. There's a growing segment of America that has biracial family. Doesn't it get under your skin if you've got biracial family members? Perhaps that was a bad choice of words. Doesn't it cheese you off if you're from Wisconsin? Doesn't it burn your biscuit if you're from, I assume, Tennessee? Doesn't it get you angry when Trump does stuff that targets your family members? I don't agree with folks that stand by happily while he targets other people's family members. I think that's effed up too. But specifically, if you've got biracial family members, I would think at the very least you'd have this self-respect to give a damn about your own family. But, these are Republicans, so they don't have a lot of any admirable qualities, I think. But here I am chasing them off, and that's not what we want to do. I got to be better too, gang. Actually, mostly just I have to be better. You guys have been fine. I'm trying. Here we go.
You know what Trump is doing is racist. Yet, what he will do is come out here and defend Trump's racism. Imagine that. A black man going out into public defending a white supremacist racism. Imagine that. Just imagine that for a second. Just take a step back and take a close look at that. A black man with biracial children, just like Kamala Harris, instead of rebuking Trump and telling him that those pictures are unacceptable, he comes out here and he defends this racism. What has happened to us as a people? What has happened to those black men that they would do such a thing? Trump shouldn't have any black support.
True.
I guess I'm old school. I'm cut from a different cloth.
I'm
from the South. I grew up seeing racism.
Now hold on. True. I think he should not have any black support. But I mean, he shouldn't have any support. It's the 21st century. How does anybody, MAGA, if you wandered into the audience, first of all, hi. Second of all, congratulations for being brave. Third of all, what the fuck's the matter with you? He shouldn't have any support. No, he shouldn't have any black people supporting him, but he also shouldn't have any white people supporting him or Asian people supporting him or whatever why when you see such a thing, him doing these the birtherism stuff, him doing the intentional ignorance around Kamala Harris's race, I mean, that should be disqualifying. Are you going to pretend like we don't know what's going on? Look, I'm a white guy. I'll tell you. Yeah, we know what he's doing. Yeah, it's not that difficult of a concept to get. We know what he's doing. When he says suddenly, she's black. All of a sudden, she's black. We know that's an insult. Even if a lot of us don't realize how it's an insult, we do know that it is an insult. It's not difficult. I'm speaking on behalf of the whites here. This I am qualified to do. It's not difficult to parse out what's wrong with the logic there. She is an Indian heritage person, whatever. Her mom's Indian. Her dad's Jamaican. She's half black, half Indian. That's my understanding. Her skin color is not white. Race is a the social construct, as they say. She is a black woman. In America, where it is famously hard to be black, to our shame. Don't let them say, "Oh, I didn't know." 10 years from now, that's what these folks that supported this "see you next Tuesday" are going to try to say, like, "Oh, I didn't know all that stuff." You know, at the time, I was just caught up in, the politics of the time, the momentum of the movement. I didn't realize, fuck off. Yes, you did. You had every opportunity to know. I knew. If you don't know, it's because you're covering your ears. If you can't hear it, it's because you're covering your ears. You know. This guy should have no support. All right, let's hear where this fella who's presenting grew up. Talk about it.
Up close and personal. I grew up in what you could describe as a Confederate state.
Damn.
In a very rural, small town where we generally got along, but we knew there were definite demarcation lines of race. So again, yeah, I got along with all the whites that I went to school with and so forth. We didn't have that sort of thing. But again, the racism was there. It was very, very much present. And so I would have never imagined growing up, becoming an adult, a man, and as a black man supporting a blatant racist like Donald Trump. I grew up during an era when in my state, one of the senators, Jesse Helms, was just like Trump. In fact, Jesse Helms was considered one of the most racist men in the Senate. I would even say he wasn't as bad as Trump. Jesse Helms would have known better, I think, than to associate himself with a black woman in blackface. Trump does it with no shame, no embarrassment, and no rebuke from anyone around him. The GOP supports it, MAGA supports it, and most of all, and unfortunately and inexplicably, the black men around him, apparently, they support it as well. That means you have lost all your self-respect as a black man when you are supporting a candidate who is so blatantly racist. And not just with these offensive pictures, okay? Not just with this offensive picture, but his racism goes back to the 70s. Trump's racism goes back to the 70s when he was sued for racial discrimination against Black Americans, people who wanted to rent his apartments, and the many other racist things that he has said and done on the campaign trail and even during office. We remember when he called African nations S-hole nations. He said all Haitians have AIDS.
I actually don't remember the second part, but whatever. It's like saying Jeffrey Dahmer killed 13 people instead of 12. Like, I'm sold already, and I'm sure the other thing is true. But this whole country's comment is what I wanted to talk about for a minute. Hey, gang. What the? Hey, white people. You're just gonna let that slide too? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You know, I'm hoping white people that ignored the whole country's comment. I pinned the link to join. Please explain. Please explain how you dare to support such a person.
He disrespected black women over and over and over again, like April Ryan. I mean, he treated them like trash. And now he's treating this black woman like trash. And the black men around him are saying nothing. In fact, they are defending him. Again, I'm cut from a completely different cloth. There is no way that I could ever support somebody like that. No way, no shape, no form, no fashion. Absolutely not. I would.
Thank you, Groove Dragon. You did good work there, and you were successful. Eventually, we got an MLK holiday. Good job. Also, the Mike's Dead show. I grew up as a first-gen Russophone Russian emigre in the 70s. We couldn't get a home except in the Jewish neighborhood. Stupid. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. That is stupid. I probably would have been one of those folks too. Even now, I find myself having nationalist issues with Russians, and the issue is not Russians, it's Russia, and it's not even really Russia, it's Vladimir Putin. I need frequently to be reminded that Americans aren't MAGA. And I just lived through that. So I get how in the 80s, 70s, 90s even, there could have been whole swaths of people that thought of themselves as good people who did bad things to immigrants. I'm sorry that you had to suffer through that, but I thank you for suffering through that and for sticking with it and for making this country better with your presence. Because now your voice is here. You are counted. You vote. You are amongst those who decide how this country is going to be. And I like it more with you in it. Thank you. But, says Wicked Foxy Dragon, he did such a good job getting that deal done for the hostage exchange. Oh boy, I'm preparing myself to hear defenses along those lines.
Think about my grandmother. I would think about my great grandfather on my mother's side. And I would think about my great great grandfather, Thomas Williams, who was enslaved on the Williams plantation. In fact, I remember I went to Charleston. A group of us married couples went and spent some time in Charleston. This has been some years ago. And we went to this place that was once a plantation. And they will give you tours of the big house, and then you see the little slave houses out there. Oh, it really disturbed my spirit. So we went to take the tour. And while we were doing the tour guide called this man the Honorable John somebody. And I heard that. And it was a crowd of people. And I stopped the tour and I asked,
Good.
how is this man the Honorable whomever when he enslaved people and built his wealth on the backs, on the brutalization, on the torture, on the lynching, the whipping of Black people? How is that honorable? So she and I went back and forth, and I told her, I said, listen, let me out of this house right now. I cannot stay here. My spirit is too grieved. I got to get out of here now. And she said, well, I'm sorry, we've started the tour and I can't open this door. And I literally raised my foot to kick that door open.
Good.
And she said, you better not kick that door open. And I said, if you don't open it right now, I'm getting ready to kick this door down. Good. Because I cannot stay in this place and honor a man who enslaved Black folks and built his wealth and life on the torture and brutality of my ancestors. Open this door or I'm kicking it down.
Good.
She opened it. And here's what I did. I left that house. I left the so-called big house, and there was a Black woman who was sitting maybe about 50 yards away from the house. She was sitting under a tree weaving baskets. If you go to Charleston, you'll see a lot of basket weaving going on there. In fact, Charleston was one of the biggest slave ports. I suspect that my family came into the United States probably through Charleston. So it was a big deal to go. But anyway, I sat down beside that woman and she said, son, she was an elderly woman. She said, son, what's going on? I called her mother. I said, mother, I had to get out of there. They called the man who built this place the Honorable somebody. And it just so grieved my spirit, I had to leave. And she said, I understand. I understand.
If you're ever on such a tour and something like that happens, take the Black guy's side. You don't even need to understand all the context. You're there to learn. So presumably, you don't know yet. Let me tell you, it's a great default when you see one person hurting and another person neutral to help the person who's hurting. Person giving the tour says, oh, I'm sorry. Black man taking a tour of a plantation, but we can't let you leave. We can't allow you to leave this plantation. Fuck you. First of all, she had no ability to make him do anything. Like, within the law, you can't imprison somebody. But to even suggest that in that place in particular, that a Black man cannot leave, that person should have a chilly reception in their community until they leave that community and change their name and their whole identity and pretend they're somebody else for the rest of their life. That's sort of how I think of the person running that tour. Or, of course, they could just apologize. That too. But my point that I hope y'all will consider is that these people who behave like this, the Trumps of the world who post like this with Kamala in blackface, they do it because they're confident that their community, the people around them, won't hold it against them. White folks won't hold it against them. They'll be mean to black folks because they know that white folks, even if they don't agree, those white folks, they won't have any sort of social consequences amongst them, except maybe, if that look from across the room. That's got to change. You and I can't be passive about this stuff. Somebody who presents as though they're in our community, who then turns around and attacks somebody who presents as though they are not in our community, make it crystal clear my community is decent folks. And Klansmen, you're not in it. You're not welcome wherever I am. And if I see you, it's on sight. You should know that, Klansmen. If you are one, don't let me find out. You should be afraid. You should be afraid to express the fact that you walk around making black people and Jewish people and gay people and Asian people and Mexican people's lives worse for sport. You should know that I think very little of you. And just about every day, I have at least one moment where I fantasize about how great it would feel to find you in arm's reach. That's where I'm coming from. So don't feel comfortable with that racist around me. Regardless of what you think I am when you glance at me. And the benefit of that is that these motherfuckers then feel less comfortable being evil. And that's a good thing. Back to this incredibly sad story.
Understand. I think her grandmother or mother or somebody had been enslaved on that plantation. Again, I'm cut from a different cloth. I've been this way all my life. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate white people. I don't even hate Trump, a racist like Trump. I want to lie.
I do. I hate Trump. For the record, he's a better man than I am, and you should be more like him than like me. But just so we're clear, so my bias is clear, I genuinely hate Trump.
Allow my heart to hate anyone.
And my mom.
But let me tell you
Trump, so I
something.
don't feel bad about
I
it.
so strongly disapprove of the blatant racism and white supremacy that he exhibits all the time, and those around him, including those black men, they approve of it.
You know, funny enough, these guys I don't hate as much. It's just, it's hard for me to hate somebody who's also a victim, I suppose. But they anger me deeply. Every single Republican angers me. Let me be clear, not the voters. The voters frustrate me, but that bounces between anger and sorrow. And more these days, it's sorrow. And a little bit of embarrassment. I'm embarrassed as an American that we've been, that it's so easy to dupe us. We're so gullible. That embarrasses me. We get a lot of folks from Canada in here. We get some folks from England, Australia, and it's a pleasure. And your voices are needed. I need you to talk to your governments and help me make the country I'm currently in less of a danger to the whole world. I need you, but I do also feel embarrassed when I'm reminded that other people see how we're behaving right now. Christ. Sorry for blaspheming. Cripes. We gotta be less gullible.
Wouldn't even doubt that the black men around him encourages it. They're the ones probably telling him that he should attack Kamala's race. I mean, they seemingly.
Oh, wait a minute. People are called Foxy. Let's get there. Let's get this up here. A boring tie? This is one of my favorite ties. This is a gorgeous tie. First of all, this is a lovely tie. Matches the suit. And second of all, baby, I got style hidden in places you can't imagine. You judge, but it'll grow on you. I'm like cancer in that way.
Have lost their complete self-respect as black men. And it's sad. It's sad to see our community like this. It is like seeing a Jewish person who is on the side and support the descendants of Hitler, for example. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine any self-respecting Jewish person supporting the party that contains a bunch of Nazis?
Okay, wow. That actually did happen. Because the world is hell. That did happen. There were Jews that supported the Nazis. It's a super dark part of history. Jake is the Herb Tarlick of the internet. I'll take that. I don't follow that reference, but I'll look it up, and it feels right at a glance. That sounds naughty. Well, I am naughty. Usually, not in a way that is that I fully understand, but most often accidentally. Well, that's awkward. Yeah, most of the show is. I don't think I got schooled at all. Damn it, Looney Tunes. Oh, WKRP. Never mind. Thank you. I sympathize with Matt. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I love it. Selena Mary, we really are a sad species. Don't worry, it gets better.
That's what those black conservatives are doing. And that's what some of these other black guys out here are doing when they talk about supporting Trump. It is despicable when I look at this picture. And it just triggered me. It teed me off. And I just got to speak out. I got to say something about this. This is not right. This is not right. America should condemn this. And in my opinion, Trump should not even be running. There was a time not long ago that this would have ended somebody's campaign. This would have been the end of their campaign. America had at least at that time had not completely lost its soul. Before Trump hit the scene, at least racism was put on the back burner. At least there was some shame associated with it. Not today. This is blatant racist, white supremacist, and this is coming from the man who is the nominee of one of the major political parties in this country. So how far has
All right, a little bit more.
This country come? I tell you, it's come a long ways, but they're certainly trying to take us back. And
well put.
I just echo the words of Kamala Harris. We won't go back.
Really well done. Links in the description if you want to watch the full video. All right, here's the depressing thing. The Association of German National Jews was a German Jewish organization during the Weimar Republic and the early years of Nazi Germany that eventually came out in support of Adolf Hitler. Guess what's going to sound really familiar, gang? It primarily attracted members from the anti-communist middle class, small business owners, national conservatives, and nationalist World War I veterans, many of whom believed that Nazi anti-Semitism was only a rhetorical tool used to stir up the masses. Yeah, they're not going to get me. They're not coming after me. That's just words that they're saying for normal people. But me, one of the business owners, I'll be fine. Me, the log cabin Republican, I'll be okay. We just don't want communism. We just don't want kindness. We just don't want, you know, people treating each other with decency. Because if nobody's suffering, where am I going to get customers? Let me look up Kamala Harris. Damn it. Let me look up Kamala Harris. There we go.
He intends to cut social.
All right. This is what I failed to pick up on as it was happening live. Bunch of protesters, and by the way, I'm going to invite probably somebody from the left here to come at me because I think I'm right, but I don't know I'm right. I'm not confident I'm right. I have thoughts about what happened. Let's watch what happened together first. Bunch of anti-genocide protesters interrupted Kamala Harris's speech in a Detroit rally. Here's what happened.
He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Yeah, that's a problem. That is a problem. Let's talk about the F up from both ends there. Kamala effed up a little bit. Damn it. I thought I got the name correct. And I got used to saying it that way. And just yesterday, I found out it was wrong. I learned it was wrong. It's Kamala, which is actually easier for me to say. All right, let me take another whack at that. Kamala messed up. Don't have a big moment against people who are trying to get the United States to stop participating in a genocide. Even if you don't think that the United States is doing that, I think she does. I actually think she's on our side. But even if you think they're the dumbest mouth breathers in the world and they have wrong information, their hearts are clearly in the correct place. These are people who are so concerned with unnecessary harm happening in the world that they're taking time out of their weekday to come to a rally and make a scene and get thrown out. That's the kind of people you want on your side. People who give a damn. What are you doing, Kamala Harris? Now, damn it. What are you doing, Kamala Harris? Now, look. It's easy to say that from the sidelines. She was trying to give a speech. She got interrupted. People act the way they act when they're a little bit pissed off. She's got a point. I know people are sick of hearing it. Doesn't make it not true. It's her versus Trump. She has not given, at least me watching from not the rally, she's not given us any reason to believe that as president, she will not stop the weapons shipments. She hasn't given us any cause to suspect that she's not going to do the right thing. She does have the weight of history holding her back. I will admit, she's got the sad reputation of the Democratic Party holding her back. Democrats in the past have said, "Oh, we'll be good. We'll be better. We'll stop the killing. We'll achieve peace." And they talk in vague, broad terms, and then they keep the killing going. Because they can't figure out how to sell not massacring civilians to the American people. That's ridiculous, and I understand where the protesters are coming from there. But Tim Walz was a signal to us, the left. Tim Walz was a signal. As president, I'm leaning this way. That's not nothing. My question for the protesters, what are you hoping to gain? What are you suggesting she do? I don't know what that is. Does she know what that is? What else is she supposed to do? The reality is, if you want to protest to stop the killing now, good. Go protest Biden. Biden's the guy making the decisions right now. If you want it before January 20th, 2025, which hopefully you do, Biden's the person you talk to. You want to pressure the Harris campaign to come out and say something? Publicly embarrass Biden, not her. Because it's not clear what it is you are trying to make happen when you do that. From my perspective, all I'm seeing is a bunch of lefties who aren't worth trying to please because they cannot be pleased. That's a problem. For Kamala Harris's part, what I would have liked her to do is exactly what Matt Strackbine, Letterhack, suggested yesterday. Have a response ready that is non-confrontational. I hear you. You want to talk? Wait over there. We will talk after this speech. I got to finish giving this speech, though. And that's it. We got a guest. Let's see what they have to say. It's a longtime watcher of the show, big fan of the show, Cenk Uygur. Cenk, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Even though I just finished up my grifting show.
Yeah. How is it? How's it going? How's the grift going? You making a lot of money?
Probably so. Well, you see, I spend lots of money on my sexualization of women, and then I go fuck her so hard, and then I make a porn video out of it. I put it on Pornhub.com.
Oh, great! Yeah,
and make it look like TYT porn.
Sure, yeah. That's I've talked about this in the past. That's an untapped market. I think that's a fantastic idea.
I would put Anna Kratzparian involved.
Well, look, if she wants to make a little extra scratch, sure. But I feel like Cenk Uygur is a bigger name. Not much. Anna Kasparian's is she's big, but not. I mean, you got to get in yourself. Roll up your sleeves.
Well,
Whoever you got to make that money.
Sure, man. Even though Anna is a big goddamn Karen, well, the last fact was very true. Trump is a racist, and he's a complete fat piece of fucking crap that loves McDonald's.
Yeah, but
Even
so are you. So am I. We're
oh,
all
wait
just
a
sort
minute,
of.
did you just call me fat?
Yeah, I mean, both of us are not fit gentlemen. See that
Oh,
dancing
of
video?
course.
My tummy's bouncing all over the place. It's
Okay, sure.
what I dislike about Trump is more the racism and the authoritarianism, the lack of respect for Americans' rights, holding us back, preventing us from getting health care, killing the planet, doing his best to end all life on Earth with global warming. That stuff is what I dislike about him.
Listen here. I would debate this motherfucker on TYT. I would
Oh,
destroy his ass so hard.
you would, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I would get it for clickbaits.
Do it for whatever reason, as long as the dude gets destroyed. I'm happy. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Did you have any thoughts on the Kamala Harris interaction with some of the uncommitted folks?
Well, listen here. My network always fucks up when that asshole Ben Khalid always makes positive comments about Israel. What the hell, man? I don't want Israel to win the goddamn war. I want Palestine to thrive and survive, man. Of course, Israel's a fake country. Israel's an asshole country. They've been a fake country since 1948.
I mean, whether you're happy about it or not, they're a real country. They're on the map. They have borders and like a system of government and all that. They might have gotten started through thieving of land, but they didn't even do the thieving. We did, and England.
Tell that to the assholes of my network.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. I gotta say, you sound totally different when
Okay,
you're not
yeah.
on TYT.
Yeah. And I sound very, very different. Guess who?
Hey, good to see you, man. How you
Yeah, let
been?
me charge the man real quick. 1 second. It is me, LTNIK, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you, Jake?
Ah, very good. I've been enjoying StreamYard. It's a good program.
Right. Very, very good. Even though you can use it for calling, it's just like, man, the Letterhack does.
Well, here's what I like about it is that I can just do I can just do a tab and show videos through a new tab in Chrome, and that's easy. It's easier than OBS, and I love OBS.
Mm-hmm. Bro, okay, anti-corporate. Bro, you're lucky we can't moderate the college face
Also from anti-corporatist, Jank allegedly jogs and plays pickup basketball, which is wild. Listen, I teach an athletic class, which means I have to participate in athleticism at a minimum 3 times a week. There's just, there's almost no fighting it if you refuse to have a decent diet. If you eat fatty foods, basically doesn't matter how, or if you eat too many calories, I guess. Doesn't matter if you worked out for and burned off 99% of them. That 1% stays on the belly. It happens.
Right. This is a question from Donald James X. Does TYT piss include Francesca Fiorentini?
I don't think so. I think she's fantastic.
Fantastic.
I love
You know what? She needs to leave that goddamn network. She has a great show.
She does. I don't. I'm interested in your thoughts on this, LT. I don't actually think all that bad to be on a bad network. If as long as your content that you're putting out is good, however you define bad or good, the means in which you get paid to make it. As I say this out loud, I'm realizing, well, but you also don't want to contribute to this, that, or the other thing. But like, I don't know. I just don't think TYT I think they're a imperfect network, but I don't think they're the bad guys. They've got plenty of shows that are good. Damage Report's good. They provide opportunities for all sorts of folks. I just don't like what Jake and Anna have been doing in the last, what has it been, like a year? Where they're
Well,
on
it's been 1 year.
1
Been
year, yeah.
still talking about anti-trans rights, and they're
Yeah.
still talking shit about homeless people and crime.
So I guess I'd say this, subscribe to Francesca Fiorentini's non-TYT stuff. She's got plenty out there. Same thing with John Idarola. All the good eggs from that batch. They have non-TYT affiliated stuff you can subscribe to. Do that. Just do that.
Yes.
And consider their I assume contractual obligations to appear on TYT advertisement for their non-TYT stuff. It's doubly a shame because I really like the name. The Young Turks is a fun name.
What's the Collins name? Melanie Collins.
It's just like an old-timey phrase. That's fun for me.
Right. Let me see. 2 more and I'm gonna go. All right. Melanie Cosmic Fox. TYT apparently doesn't respect its creator via Left of the Box, Sandy Lopez and Ravana.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, and Wireless Mike 73. Francesca is awesome. There are a lot of awesome people on the network. I fucking love TYT Sports.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you get a big enough tent, you will inevitably not like some of the folks in it. And that's fine. I just think once TYT started on this kick where they were hurting trans folks, in my opinion, I think that it was wise of the people who left to leave. But I don't think the people who didn't leave are necessarily villainous. I think if you stuck around because that's where your career was made, maybe there's a case to be made later on for like, oh, guys, you should go do something better. But I just feel like right now we're dealing with like actual Nazis. Like Stephen Miller is on white supremacist forums and he's also speaking for Trump on national TV. I'm just like, God damn, man. Third, fourth order issues, don't waste your energy on them.
Maybe.
But maybe I will find out later that I was part of the problem the whole time.
And finally, Donald says, I see your request. Dude,
I don't.
I do not do singing music videos, dude. Dude, I do not do music videos.
This is in reference to the Kool and the Gang song "Celebrate." I'll just say this. On general principle, I will ask Looney Tunes not to do it. But if anybody else wants to randomly mouth in a very uncomfortable way because I can't play the music on a live stream, celebrate good times today. Come on. Future callers, feel free to do that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, LT9K, thank you for stopping by. It's good to see you, brother man.
See.
We've got more things to look at. Leftist Mafia coming up in a little bit. I'm probably gonna in like 60 seconds. Oh boy. I'm probably going to keep on streaming. I want to experiment with doing longer and longer streams. But let me tell you, I know this crowd. I know how I'd be if I was in it. I'd go watch some Matt Bender, some Rebecca Azor, some The Surfs, some of all of that. And I don't blame you if you do. That's just fine. Enjoy. Have fun. And if they get boring, your old pal Jake will still be here. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's 8-8. Hey, have you seen this? Take another whack at that. Have you seen? I hate everything. Have you seen this right, Chuck? The Letterhack has a new comic out with Harvey K. It's been compressed a bit on my monitor for the presentation. Whoopsie doodles. There we go. It's been compressed a little bit, but this comic is free, and it's available right here. I just put that in the. You will have seen it already in the chat. Free comic from the Letterhack. He did a whole thing, gang. That's pretty cool. I love they did that. It explains how we got to where we are with economics in the U.S. Talks about a new economic bill of rights for the 21st century. I think that's about the best thing an artist can do with their time is use their art to make everybody's lives better. If you want to learn really quickly, even if you're yourself not a leftist, if you want to learn really quickly why leftists believe what they believe, here's an opportunity. I think that's pretty neat. Oh, I see a video from More Perfect Union that I would like that I would like to share with y'all. So this is a video from More Perfect Union, and I ought to share that, so I will. But let's. No, I need to get the title and what have you. I'm going to put this in the description, the link in the description.
I don't think there's ever been an administration that has come close to what we've done.
I got a letter that my student loans have been forgiven. Okay, y'all, I got my student loans forgiven. So he did what he said he was going to do.
Over $90,000 of my student loans had been forgiven.
What gives Elizabeth Warren a pep in her step?
That nearly 5 million people in America have seen their student loan debt canceled.
Student debt cancellation for 5 million people and counting is quite an amazing accomplishment, particularly for a president who initially said,
"I will not make that happen."
When he was running for president in 2019, Joe Biden proposed a higher education plan that didn't offer any student debt forgiveness. But thanks to persistent public pressure from young people and progressive leaders,
Canceling student loan debt is the single most effective executive action President Biden can take.
These young people are leaving school deeply in debt.
God, I love Bernie. And kudos to Warren there as well. Just want to be clear. What made it happen after we got a centrist president that we weren't totally thrilled with? Continuing pressure from people who gave a damn. Good. 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 Keep it up. We're learning. We're, in some cases, relearning. But this is how you make it happen. Particularly if Democrats are arguing, oh, but I got to get in office. Oh, I got to get in office. First-term Democrats are opening themselves up to pressure. Kamala Harris is opening herself up to this kind of pressure. Oh, you just needed our vote this time, did you? You just need our vote this time, eh? You just need the vote this time, but trust me, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Well, I'm the sort of person that pays attention. I'm the sort of person that remembers. I'm the sort of person that makes a big deal about this on the off years, which means you can be damn sure I'm going to remember when you need to get reelected, Ms. First Term President. Worth bearing in mind that for us, it doesn't have to always be an election which decides how our politicians are going to behave. Sometimes it's stuff like this.
Struggling economically, they deserve a break.
Candidate Biden was ultimately persuaded, and at the conclusion of the Democratic primary, he pledged to support debt cancellation for up to $10,000 per borrower. And in August 2022, months before a crucial midterm election, President Biden rolled out a detailed plan.
Using the authority Congress granted the Department of Education, we will forgive $10,000 in outstanding federal student loans.
And he even promoted that plan with a video with this guy.
No matter what these Republican officials say, we know student debt relief will make a real difference for people.
43 million Americans would have benefited from it. Unfortunately, the radical right Supreme Court knocked that relief plan down. Thankfully, the Biden administration, especially his Secretary of Education, kept finding other legal avenues to cancel student debt for people.
More than 1 out of 10 people that have student loan have already had their loan forgiven. 1 out of 10. And that's with the Supreme Court striking down our biggest plan.
Now, after years of pressure and despite the Supreme Court sabotage, the Biden administration has managed to cancel billions of dollars in student debt. But honestly, I suspect very few of us know all the specifics about what they've.
Correct. And I know so little that I'm going to replay the last 30 seconds of that and then listen to the explanation with you guys so I can learn about it. But this is a great question from Melanie Cosmic Fox that I would like to address right now. Why couldn't Bernie be the VP? As long as we're signaling to progressives, as long as we're trying to essentially win a popularity contest, why couldn't Bernie be the VP? I think that's a great question. And I think Bernie probably would have said no. No, he wouldn't have. He would have said, no, I will not be your VP. And here's why. It would have been a lie. He can't be the president. I don't mean he's disqualified. I mean he's in his, how old is he? 83? 4? How old is Bernie Sanders? 82, excuse me. He's 82 years old. He's not the only human being in this country with decent politics. I acknowledge he's a uniquely excellent politician. He has been a leader, but we are entering a new era of honesty. He's physically unlikely to be able to do the job in 4 years when he's 86. It's not a knock against him, and he might be. Maybe he'll be fine. I hope he'll be fine. But to make Bernie Sanders the VP would be the tacit acknowledgement that there's no one better under 70. If there was no one better, then they had to invent themselves overnight. And they had to decide to be a better politician in that moment upon the realization that there was no one better. That there was nobody who was under the age of 70 that had the sort of politics that were necessary for the time. Now, That's what Tim Walz basically is. He is a person who said, "Me, man, we can't play games anymore. We can't pretend like gay people aren't human beings. We can't abandon Americans strategically to appease the worst Americans." Why couldn't Bernie be VP? Because Joe Biden just dropped out. And he dropped out because the perception was that he was too old. Because he is too old. That sucks. I don't like the reality of the creeping years. I don't even like folks who are old thinking maybe I won't be allowed to do things because people don't think I'll be able to do it next year. Man, I don't. But doesn't change the fact that age gets us all eventually. And 82 years old as the person who would hypothetically replace Kamala Harris hypothetically replace Kamala Harris if the worst happened. I think it would have been a mistake. And I think Bernie would have said no as well. Because he's great now, and he's been great for his whole life. But he couldn't, in earnestness, promise us that he'll continue to be able to do the job in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's harsh. I don't care for that, but it is true.
Done. So I sat down with Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona, specifics about what they've done. So I sat down with Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona and Undersecretary James Quall to better understand the specific details of who has gotten relief and why. It feels like month after month, there seem to be new updates coming from your department about yet another program for debt cancellation. Pull us back. What are the principles that are guiding you here, Mr. Secretary?
Over 1 million people go into a default every year. We don't talk about that. This is about supporting our students and leveling the playing field the way the president asked me to do when he hired me. But it's also about recognizing that education is the foundation of our country's growth. We have to invest in it and fix it if we're serious about making sure America reaches its potential. You know,
I don't know your music. Do fill me in when you can. Maybe I do. I might surprise you.
Banks, when they were falling apart, the federal government had help. We're helping working class people now.
Let's start at the outset. How many total people have received student debt relief as a result of the efforts of this department?
About 4.5 million.
So let's start with this 4.5 million as a global pie chart. How much in total dollars on average do you think that most of these people have received in student debt relief?
Well, it's a total in the order of $150 billion or so. That would be, $25,000, $30,000 a person.
When you think about the biggest pie chart of that 4.5 million, who are those people?
The biggest group are...
I'm sidetracking us with the Bernie talk. But I don't think it's an issue of growing up. It's a legitimate question. It's something I thought about. I see what you're saying. You're saying, it's a harsh game. You get used to it being harsh. I know. And fair enough. But in this case, it's not that. I think she's saying it's a harsh game. Why not, play hard? You want to impress progressives, you get Bernie. And that would have impressed us. But it also would have been, we talked about it already. Okay, I'm moving on now to this again. Oh, that's a face.
People who were cheated by for-profit colleges or who found their colleges closed. There was an enormous boom in for-profit online education, typically enrolling low-income students, students of color, first-generation college students, and leaving them with very large debts and very poor career prospects. Often there was high pressure or deceptive recruiting that was illegal. And when a student takes out a loan based upon a legal premise, then we are allowed to forgive that loan.
How many total people do you think generally that is?
That's about 1.5.
I didn't understand that. You guys are going to watch this in Jacob Vision. This is how I watch videos normally when you all are not around. This going back and listening to it again. I'm going to have to do it now because I heard all the words he was saying. And all the words individually made sense to me, but when you put them together, I have no fucking idea what he just said to me. And this is in a video that's edited down to try to look and be simple. So if you ever find yourself in that position, no shame. Just play the thing again.
And leaving them with very large debt. Income profit, online education, typically enrolling low-income students, students of color, first-generation college
I
students.
know, I don't
there was
have the
people
topic.
who were cheated by for-profit colleges or who found their
So we're talking about for-profit colleges, people that were cheated by them. Okay.
colleges closed. There was an enormous boom in for-profit online education, typically enrolling low-income students, students of color, first-generation college.
So that's like DeVry. When you'd see those commercials and they'd be like, "Hey, does your current job suck? Go to DeVry. Give us money, and then you'll get an accreditation in this thing or that thing, and then you can go have this other job, which is much nicer." Okay.
Students and leaving them with very large debts and very poor career prospects often.
So what happened? You took a loan, you went and got whatever little certificate they were selling, and then oftentimes you would not get a better job, but you would have the debt that came with buying that piece of paper, which has not helped you. Okay.
Then there was high pressure or deceptive recruiting that was illegal. And when a student takes out a loan,
all right, and they're saying in the cases that where it was deceptive advertising, broke a law
based upon a legal premise, then we are allowed to forgive that loan.
Okay, so the for-profit, they're saying we were forgiving loans from for-profit colleges that engaged in deceptive practices. Good. Okay, that I would have hoped from the jump that was the case, but I'm glad we're catching up now. Sorry that I played all that the way I did. I meant to do it in this view, but okay. I'm going to go a step farther. I'm glad we are where we are. If it was deceptive ads, in other words, it was a lie, and it caused people harm. So, that woman cried when she saw that her student debt was getting forgiven. Was she crying just because a number that was irrelevant to her life somewhere went down? On somebody else's piece of paper, that number went down? No, she was crying because her life had been dramatically impacted by that. This is where the criminal justice system needs to come in. Did you defraud people and you harmed their lives? You made that sweet old lady cry? There should be jail time associated with this stuff. We need to start punishing these folks. That's the next push. First, we should stop the harm, which is what the Biden administration is doing and should be commended for.
How many total people do you think generally that is?
That's about 1.5 million.
God
people.
damn.
Walk us
1.5
through some
million.
of the other major components of the recipients who received student debt relief.
Well, another major group are people in public service. And 15 years ago, Congress passed this law saying, if you go into public service, you make payments for 10 years, you work for 10 years, then at the end of that, your loan can be forgiven. But the program was poorly designed. It was administered with indifference. At the start of this administration, only 7,000 people had ever gotten loan forgiveness. And famously, the program had a 99% rejection rate.
Why would?
Okay. Can we truly call that incompetence? If so, I think there must be such a thing as illegal incompetence, as in you are so incompetent that somebody's got to go to jail. Maybe it's not the person whose job it was to forgive the loan or not. Maybe it was one rung up, their boss. But regardless, he just said it famously had a 99% rejection rate. 99%? Somebody's job had to be to keep track of that program. And within the first year, where they were seeing 99% of these people say they are public service public servants, and they qualify for these loans and we're rejecting them, it's my job to fix that. I will go fix that. If they fail to do that, they harmed all those people's lives. These people dedicated 10 years of their life on a lie. Someone's got to pay for that. Literally. Literally. As in, their student loans have to be forgiven as promised, and the person who denied them needs to be punished. It can even, hell, we can start it off with a light punishment. Hey, you know what? In U.S. history, we never punished malicious bureaucrats before. So we're going to scare all these white-collar punks by punishing you, but we're going to do it lightly. And we're going to see if that stops this kind of stuff from happening. If that's a shot across the bow. You get, let's say, 10,000 hours of community service. Go learn to be a decent human being. And you have a criminal record now because you're a criminal sort of person, aren't you? Next time it happens, prison. We'll go easy, too. Year and a day. If you're familiar with the prison system, you know that's actually a very light punishment. It means you're going to get out in about 6 months. Ramp it up, though. And the point being, let these folks know you can't just screw over people and hope you get away with it. I'll roll the dice. So what? If I'm wrong, if they catch me, they'll just give the people what they were going to give them anyway. Nah, that era must end.
Was this happening? Why was the rejection rate that high?
It was a very complicated and somewhat obscure eligibility requirements that people just didn't understand, or they didn't have the help that they needed navigating the program and getting the benefits they were entitled to.
All right, just so I can be clear about this. He just said, there was 99% rejection rate. And he said, well, they were following the law. It's just that people didn't understand it. Well, 99% of people apparently don't understand it. There's a concept within the law that basically asks, what would a reasonable person do? What would a reasonable person believe? A way to find out, essentially all courtrooms are trying to do, is decide, what would a reasonable person have done in the scenario you found yourself in? Person who's in front of the judge now. And if the answer is that you were behaving reasonably, you're generally allowed to go. If you weren't, you get a punishment. Well, we have now an idea of what a reasonable person would believe based on what was presented to them. And I might be wrong about who's to blame. Was it the person in charge of administering the program? Was it the person in charge of advertising the program? I don't know. But we have now evidence that reasonable people saw what was listed as the offer, go do 10 years of service to the U.S. government, and we'll pay for your student loans. They saw that, they did their time, and then they got over. I do think it is good. What they're describing here is good. They're getting those student loans paid as they should have. What is not okay is that whoever is responsible for all these folks thinking that they basically trying to screw these people over. That person is, as far as we know, not getting punished. And what I push for next, not now, now this is good. Now let's enjoy ourselves. But what I push for next is that we actually punish the people that did this, because this is an assault on the average American.
I mean, we're talking about teachers, nurses, service members, public sector employees, nonprofit employees. We've cleaned up a lot of the tricks and traps that were keeping people from getting these benefits. We also permanently opened up new repayment plans into the program, so you wouldn't be penalized if you didn't enroll in the right plan right away. And as a result of these changes and other types of changes, the number of people who have gotten public service loan forgiveness has gone from 7,000 to 870,000.
So we've talked about a couple of sets of actors. Are there other categories of people who've benefited?
Yeah, the next category I would mention is people who've been in repayment for 20 or 25 years.
It's 863,000 victims of fraud, in my opinion. But okay, let's move on. People who have been paying these motherfuckers for 23 years or more.
Or longer. The department has long had a program that says pay what you can afford, and after a couple of decades, if you still owe money, we'll forgive the balance so that student loans don't become a life sentence. In this case, at the start of the administration, only a few hundred people had ever gotten this form of forgiveness. So we were able to give people credit, and as a result, we've forgiven hundreds of thousands of loans for people that that did their share, that paid their part for many, many years. This was an automatic benefit that we provided, that's really important. And we found that when people have to navigate all these forms and figure it out, they often aren't eligible, even if we know in our own data that they should be eligible.
Do you have a rough sense of how many total people we're talking about who benefited here?
More than 1 million people.
Are there other programs that you wanted to mention as recipients of student debt relief?
If you have a total and permanent disability, you're eligible to have your student loan forgiven, but we still had them on their books. And in fact, in some cases, they had gone into default and we were garnishing their Social Security payments when the fact that they were even getting those payments meant they were eligible to have their student loans forgiven.
And you came in and helped alleviate it and did it automatically?
That's right. And I really want to emphasize, sometimes people say this is about helping doctors and lawyers.
They're transferring wealth from lower income and middle income people to people higher income.
Look at the chyron there. Look what channel was printing that misinformation. Genuinely a shame that they're still in business at all.
It's extremely unfair.
The people that we're helping, these are not highly paid individuals. These are people that don't get the financial ROI from their student loan because they're disabled, because they were cheated by a for-profit college, because they're persistently low income over many, many years. So I think there's a real misunderstanding about just how broad the problem of student debt has become in our country and why steps this aggressive are really needed.
To a working class person who says, I didn't go to college, Mr. Secretary. I saw a lot of other people who did, and now they're getting their debt forgiven. Why am I, as a working class person, how am I benefiting? What's in it for me here?
Look, this is the administration that's going to make it so that that person can go to college, or that person's children can go to college and have a good return on investment. I don't want my neighbor to go into default because that hurts the community in which I live.
If Donald Trump becomes president, he would eliminate all these student debt forgiveness programs and sabotage the potential for even more borrowers to get relief. And that's only the start. His allies have laid out a blueprint in Project 2025 for abolishing the Department of Education and privatizing student loans. Critics, your critics.
Let me just apologize to all of America on behalf of Michigan. Betsy DeVos and her head brother, Eric Prince, two of the worst human beings the world has ever burbled out. That's the fault of Michigan. If you're not familiar, Betsy DeVos was Trump's Secretary of Education. She made it her life's work. They're billionaires, by the way. She made it her life's work to bleed the public school system and to try to make all schools private schools with your tax dollars. Basically, she tries to get you to pay for rich kids fancier school than your kid gets to go to. Awful human being. Eric Prince loves killing brown people, so he started Blackwater, a mercenary company. It's sort of like Prigozhin with Trump's chef. Yeah, he's that, but for America.
They look at what you're doing and they say, I got a solution.
Did I say Trump?
Why don't
chef?
we just abolish?
I meant Putin's chef. But I mean, Trump would make Eric Prince into his personal mercenary killer if he gets the opportunity. Don't give it to him.
the Department of Education.
You know you're doing a good job for the American people when you're living rent-free in their head and they want to take you out. Now, if we let go and don't have a Department of Education, think about the disparities in this country. Think about what's happening with the privatization of K-12 education, where they're proposing taking Title I dollars and turning it into vouchers. It's going to further exacerbate the haves and the have-nots in this country. We are going to defend public education while they try to defund it.
Great video.
Thanks for
Fantastic video. Look, I agree with what Groove Dragon was saying. Biden has a long history of F-ups. Sorry, let me put that up a little longer. He's got a long history of F-ups. No doubt about it. And let's not ever fail to mention being complicit as president in genocide. At the same time, the Biden story is a hopeful one for me. Because despite where he came from, including, let's put it back up, including that there, what happened when he was president? Domestically, at least. Domestically, he's one of the best presidents we've had. Domestically, he's actually responded to demands from progressives. Good. Let's look at how we got him to do these things and repeat that as much as possible. Good, good, good. I don't know, but I think that Kamala Harris will be like that as well. Plus, like that with foreign policy. She didn't have her Golda Meir moment where she decided, I'm going to have one principle in my whole life, and it's going to be a terrible one. No, I think she will listen to her constituents. And I hope. But certainly, I'll tell you this, the louder we are, the more likely we are to be heard. So be prepared to put pressure on the administration when you can. And you can do so with respect, and you can do so even lovingly. Say, look, I want you to be better than you are. I can't think of a way to transition this. But hi. Good to see you, Mike. How you doing? I don't actually hear you. But I'm not going to panic, as a good friend told me not to. But if you can, I don't know, fix your mic, unplug it, plug it back in, etc., give that a shot. In the meantime, I'll do something called vamping. How you doing, gang? How are we tonight? You don't like my music says Google fractional reserve banking. It will blow your mind. Well, all right. We can do that. Oh, hey there. I heard you for a second. Can you try whatever you were doing? Try it again. Well, we look at fractional reserve banking on Wikipedia. According to Wikipedia, fractional reserve banking is a system of banking for all countries worldwide under which banks take the deposit from the public, keep only part of their deposit liabilities in liquid assets as reserve, typically lending to the remainder to borrowers. Bank reserves are held in cash in the bank or as balances in the bank's account at the central bank. Fractional reserve banking differs from the hypothetical alternative model, full reserve banking, in which banks would keep all depository funds on hand as reserves. I got to be honest, it's not that alarming to me. I understand why in its concept it's kind of spooky sounding, for sure. You would like to think that if everybody wants to remove their money all at once, that the money would be there to be removed. But I don't know. It's not the way most people operate. The Fed exists to back up, the numbers that are listed in our accounts as our value as human beings, I think I think it'll all work out fine. But you just saw me looking it up on Wikipedia. So if I'm missing something, if you think I'm missing something, you're probably right. All right, is it working now? Yeah, it sounds good. I hear breathing.
I think it might be working now.
Hey, all right. How you doing,
Hey.
sir?
Oh, my computer's. Hey, man, how about yourself?
Oh, dude, I sympathize. Good. I'll tell you some behind the scenes drama. The other night when I was supposed to be on with the Letterhack and John from San Antonio, I don't know what it was that I left running, but when I came back to my computer, basically I had an error message like, "Hey, you've got no storage space left. You should clear some up." And it was like 2 minutes before I had to go live. So I'm desperately going through there, and when I just deleted a bunch of stuff, I'm like, "I hope I don't need this." And then when it was time to actually, like, I had to just jump in. As soon as I tried to jump in, my computer, and I had to restart it several times. It sucked, man. I think
Yeah,
I felt myself gaining gray hairs.
I don't know what's going on with mine, and I think I'm actually on a delay. It may have caught up by now, but for a minute, like, your response seemed like it was a good 8 or 10 seconds behind. So I may still be running on a delay, man. I think my internet's just crapping out tonight for whatever reason. There's been a lot of traffic lately, though, and understandably so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now, actually, what's happening right now is I'm just trying to delay it to mess with you. But no, in all seriousness, that is
Okay,
wild.
okay, good. Well, I'm glad it caught up anyway.
Indeed, yeah. Do you have any specific thing you wanted to talk about, or you just want to hang out for a second?
I like the idea of hanging out, but I do have something I don't want to bring up. It's probably going to piss a few people off.
Oh, good. Guys, I'm in a debatey mood. Please toss something my way that I might disagree with, or that I have the opportunity to. Let's go.
Well, the thing that's bothering me the most right now, I mean, look, excuse me, I've been stressing out over all the, for a while, what felt like sort of the backstabbing of Biden when there wasn't really a clear direction available before he dropped out, back before he got COVID, and then decided maybe this isn't the best path. I remember feeling like I was just getting stabbed in the gut by people that I followed and people that I had looked up to and had a lot of respect for, like, through most of my life. Fucking celebrities and actors and writers and people that I was just really kind of shocked that they were going after him like that at what seemed like the worst time. And I understood the concerns. I understand. Yeah, he's an old man. But I also, at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, debate skills are a completely different set of skills from doing the job of president, right?
Fair.
You get people who are good at a quick comeback, that would probably do well on stage in a fucking I'm sorry, I'm going to cuss a lot.
Go ahead.
Who they're going to do real good on a in a burn contest or a comedy roast, right? Because they're going to be quick with the comebacks. Well, Trump's real good at that, but so are schoolyard bullies. Most of the people who aren't great with the quick comebacks, it doesn't mean that they're lacking in intelligence or lacking in cognitive ability. It means that they've got more important shit on their minds, and they're not looking for a mic drop moment. They're not there to do quick, quotable bullshit. And at the time, everybody kept pointing to that one debate. And I'm like, look, I know they kept saying it's a bad night, and it was a bad night. It was terrible. It was a terrible performance. But it was way better than anything Trump did, because he at least tried to answer the fucking questions that were given to him, where Trump
Yeah,
did
we
not.
had
Trump spewed a bunch of
ridiculous
bullshit
standards.
lies and right,
I don't like
everything
this whole
was, and it
thing
was
where
all
it's like,
lies, and it kept going back to the one before, and then trying to get the last word on everything, and so that had me upset.
sure.
Now that being said, that's the past. He's still obviously doing a good job. This whole thing with the student loan, the student loan forgiveness going through, he's still doing a good job. There's plenty of people who have problems. I got my own problems with him, but he's still one of the best presidents that's ever held office in my lifetime.
Yeah,
And
I'll give
I'm
you
always
that.
going to be
Domestically,
grateful for a lot of the shit that he has done.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then he steps down. Kamala steps up. Fucking held the attention for a couple of weeks, and just held all of the attention, like pulled all of the spotlight away from this orange turd running around saying all the same bullshit that he had been saying. Dude, he couldn't even ride the sympathy of an attempted assassination for a week before just shitting it out, giving up on any even pretense of unity of any kind. He goes right back into the same old shit. And then, next thing you know, all the attention's on Kamala. And then this choice for vice president, dude, I haven't been this excited for an election ever, honestly, because this dude is like, he might as well be fucking Santa Claus. He's happy. He's cheerful. He's progressive. He's
1 second. I got to add quickly. This is time dependent.
Oh, what you
Don't
doing?
ban this guy, even though we normally would. Don't ban this guy. Hey, Return of the Mac. Call in after I'm done speaking with Wireless Mike. I want to talk to you. I'm going to try not to holler. I want to talk to you.
Oh,
All
so
right,
this, you really want to debate one of these junkies. Okay.
I want to find out how you get there mentally, because
there's 1,000 ways
problem.
to get there.
I'm sure there is. I want to find out this guy's path. What went wrong.
I just want to say, I'm super excited about Walz. He's a great candidate. I think for the first time that I can remember, the vice presidential candidate is going to have as much or more of an impact on an election than the actual presidential candidate. My problem right now, I know there's still a lot of people out there that are upset about the whole thing with Israel, and I get it, but we are facing something right now that is basically, if we don't catch this, and if we don't take the opportunity that we have, and not just beat Trump and MAGA and his personality black hole of a vice presidential candidate, not just beat them, but savagely beat them, like irreversible, unquestionably beat them with so much of a majority of the vote, they're still not, it doesn't matter how many people we win by, they're still not going to accept it. There's still going to be people out there that are going to be trying to pull some seriously dangerous and destructive shit between election night and inauguration. It's going to get fucking ugly. It's going to get really, really ugly. But the more people that we have that even now are still sitting back and they're going, well, there's this, there's that, and I don't align with this. We don't need this kind of division right now because of what's at stake. It is it's literally democracy at stake. We've got to beat them hard. And then once we beat them, once we win, and MAGA gets flushed out the door to go lick their wounds for a little while, then we start fucking cleaning house. We start cleaning house.
All right, here's the deal. I agree with you probably 99% of the way, and I'm sure you'll agree with 99% of what I'm about to say. But there's that small part where I feel the need to point out, if the folks that don't want there to be a genocide aren't pleased with you as a candidate, it's not their fault. It's your fault. If Kamala Harris cannot please the folks that simply don't want America to be involved in a genocide, it's not their fault. It's her fault.
I get that. I get that. But it's
And there's
not
no
her fault because
and
it's not her policy that's doing it. And using this
True.
moment to keep putting that into the spotlight when the most important fight ahead of us right now is getting rid of a literal threat, not just to democracy here, but democracy around the entire world. If you think it's bad over there right now, let anybody but a Democrat fucking take presidential office, and that whole little sliver of land next to the water will be turned to glass within a fucking day. And anybody
True.
who thinks that that's not the case, they're deluding themselves. And we
So
cannot risk this shit because it's never going to get better until we get more people on our side, not just in the presidency, but the House and the Senate. And we start fixing the shit in the courts and we start working on local elections
Hold
that
up a
make
second.
changes that we can actually act on that sort of thing and have an effect. Otherwise, we're just spinning our wheels.
You and I represent the two flavors of people who agree with each other on this particular issue. The yes, we should be not doing this thing in the Middle East that we're doing, and also, but we need to really focus on getting Kamala elected. And then also the people that say we need to really focus on getting Kamala elected. So we shouldn't have this Middle East problem be a thing. Here's my question to you. These groups inevitably agree with each other. How do you think, you have a magic wand, you can control their behavior? How do you get Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to get these people on their side? These people who were chanting at the protest or chanting at the rally the other day. How does she satisfy them now? How do you think that should be done?
I don't think that she should be focused specifically on them. They are drawing
But they were
attention
out there
away.
making a ruckus.
Well, they're out there making a ruckus for one or two, maybe three possible reasons. And I don't think that all of them are necessarily as sincere as they claim to be. I'm
Before
sorry.
you say your piece,
I'm a bit of a
let me
cynic.
give you a fair warning, because you should know this.
What?
I am within 3 units in this building. I'm within 3 units of somebody whose actual grandmother died in these attacks. So you're giving me whatever I got to go tell them in real life to try to get them to believe that. So when you pitch it to me, imagine my grandmother died at the hands of somebody armed by Harris's boss. Go for it.
It wasn't Harris. And
It was her
until
boss.
she gets elected, she can't do a damn thing about it. And honestly,
True.
all of the shit that we get in the news is only a fraction of what actually happens. Now, this whole time, I think you made an analogy a while back. You were talking about Biden kind of like in the position of a frat buddy who's trying to convince his drunk asshole buddy not to start a fight or not to drive after he's had way too fucking much to drink. Right? It's like a fucking addict. You're not going to get that addict to change or make any improvement of their own lives or make right decisions until they come to a decision that they want the help to do so. Okay? I personally have a little bit of a feeling that this whole shit going on with Netanyahu isn't just his desire to wipe out
In the worst
Palestinians like some kind of
possible
fucking
time, your
genocidal.
mic's
He
cutting
might
out.
actually kind of deal going on in the background. Oh shit! Of course it is.
No, I got
did
the operative part there. No, it came back and saved it. He might have a deal going on in the background, yeah. But
okay.
the
I think he
premise that
does
we're
because
on
I
right
think
now.
Putin is doing everything he can.
I do think that Putin's
sorry, go
effing
ahead.
things up. Well, the premise that we're on right now
course he is.
is that Harris shouldn't even try to win them over. Let's backtrack to that main point. What? These are
It's
the
not
most
that she shouldn't try to
gettable-
make it's not that she shouldn't try to
Okay.
win them over. I'm saying that at this moment, these people need to try to understand that unless unless the Democrats take this fucking election in a landslide and beat the Republican ticket so embarrassingly bad that they're afraid to show their fucking faces in public, it's never going to get any better. There will never be any leverage, because as long, even if we take the House and Senate, but it's anywhere close to a close race, there's always going to be those hard right assholes who are Zionists, who are always going to point at any person who dares to even withhold weapons or aid, like Biden has done so far. And they're going to be standing up demanding that he release it now. Otherwise, you're a fucking anti-Semite, and all you want to do is ruin Israel and ruin this pact that's been in place for fucking since the 60s. It's always going to be a fucking fight.
What if they don't care?
And it's a
about
fight
progressive
going on
politics?
here.
What if
who doesn't care about progressive politics?
The person who wants there to be peace in Gaza. What if they don't? They're not a progressive. They're just somebody with family in Palestinians. You know, there was a bunch of folks around in my city who voted for Trump in 2016 because they own strip clubs. If you're not in Dearborn, there's a
It's not
load of
even
strip
about
clubs
progressive
around.
here.
But here's my point: is why is it that we have to essentially set aside this issue in order to put Harris in the White House? Why can't she pitch to these folks? I'm sure she can. On this
I'm sure
issue,
she
why
could,
can't she
but right now,
win votes on this issue?
because there are always also going to be people whose votes we need who are going to turn around and go the other direction because they feel like she's catering to a very small minority of the population that those individuals probably won't side with either. So it's diminishing the vote in any direction at a time when we need every single vote counts. Every single one.
Do we agree on
and
the reality?
Losing the White House is only going to make everything over there worse.
We don't have to keep saying that because you and I are already in agreement there.
But
we know.
do.
We have
to get
we
it across
have
to them. They need to understand
because
that.
we need within our conversation. You and I are very comfortable in this realm because you no I mean we're very comfortable talking about the necessity of getting a Democrat and winning by a large margin because you and I spend hours understanding the larger political game that's happening, but the average voter doesn't spend a fraction of that time, and it comes down to one issue at a time. What do they care about? I'm wondering what I guess I don't accept this premise that we have to mislead or we have to say anything other than the reality of the situation in order to win votes.
I'm not saying anything about misleading.
No, but we're saying like, oh well, we have to, there's this group. Let me start over. There's this group that was chanting at a Harris rally about peace in Gaza, essentially.
Yes.
Well, do we honestly think that Harris is going to be better than Trump? I do. When it regards
100%.
In regards to how she's going to handle Netanyahu. Okay. 100%. Well, so what do we tell these people that we're chanting? How do we communicate that message?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How do you not? Why? I don't understand. How is it not obvious that a wannabe dictator who gave Netanyahu the gift of putting the fucking American embassy in his little hometown and gave him the fucking impetus to step up and be like, oh well, I've got even more power and I got America backing me up. They're never gonna leave me alone. When this whole time, everybody says Biden isn't doing enough. Biden has been doing everything he can within the realm of a fucking agreement that's been in place for decades, for longer than I've even been alive.
I mean,
he's within
the argument that comes up there is like the agreement if it gets innocent people killed, is not worth the paper it's printed on.
It-
It's assisting in a war crime. There's no document you can sign which makes it morally or legally okay for you to assist in a war crime.
He can't
So
just
that argument
cut
goes
it
out the
off.
window.
He doesn't even have the
He has an
authority to
obligation,
just
a
cut it
moral
off.
obligation.
He doesn't. He doesn't have the
Let-
ability. He doesn't have the
It's a
power. He
war
doesn't
crime.
have the authority to.
He's participating in a war crime. It doesn't matter if
No.
you signed a document that says we're going to be besties. We're going to provide you with arms.
Okay.
If-
Well,
if
for
the
that
arms
matter,
you're
then
providing-
every member of the U.S. military participated in a war crime, and we invaded Iraq.
Yes.
Yeah. All
we
of
did.
our veterans that we're supposed to be fucking taken care of when they come back, that we're fighting for the fucking VA to actually stand up and fix these people and help these people, they were war criminals. So are we going to
Well, they
just abandon
participated
them
in a
too?
war crime.
Well,
I don't think they were war criminals. I think
they participated in a
though.
war crime. Okay, so they
Well,
participated in a
the
war crime.
difference, if I trick you into helping me rob a bank, you still participated in the bank robbery, but you're not legally at fault. You got tricked. They were lied to, just like the rest of us were lied to. They were going in on bad information. The key difference here is Biden knows exactly what's up.
The main one of the main reasons that Biden is not pulling out and just pulling all eyes is because when this shit finally comes to fruition, and when the enough been doing for a while, like what was it, 2/3, 3/4 of the population were fucking out in war fucking stop now, who's still while that asshole you're addressing.
Hold on, wait, pause. The last like 40 seconds, like the whole point. Can you summarize the point? I'm sorry. It sounded interesting. I want to go with it, but I missed it.
I forget where I don't know where it cut off. All I know, while that asshole was here addressing Congress, there was like 3/4 of the Israeli population in the streets demanding that he step down and end this fucking war. Okay. When enough of those people stand up, when they finally back in office again to prevent him from having to face not just international war crimes, but all the other criminal shit at before he got reelected and put back in place. That herpes-ridden son of a bitch has got shit weight on him that's gonna drag him underground once he's power. He's just like fucking Trump. That's the only reason Trump is fighting as much as he is and threatening civil war in this country, because he's trying to protect his own ass from going to prison or having to pay for the crimes that he's about to be fucking swamped with in court. All right. Netanyahu is facing the same kind of shit over there. When those people kick him out, America is going to have that foothold. They're going to have that place where we can reach in and help them rebuild on both sides. We're going to have to be able to step in without having to make a bunch of new negotiations and try to, and stretch that out another several years to go. We're going with what we have, and we're going to try to fix everything that we can. But you can't just pull out and say, fuck it, I'm taking my ball and going home. And then when shit does out and they do kick his sorry ass out and start stomping his ass into a mud hole, then we step up and go, hey fellas, can we come back and help you rebuild? And they're like, no, where the fuck were you? You abandoned us. You stepped out on a fucking decades old treaty.
Let's pause there because we seem to be in disagreement on this point, and I don't see why we would be. Well, no. You didn't. It wasn't the mic cutting out. It's this point of the treaty. So you're saying this is a decades old treaty. It's been in place. We must honor it. I'm saying when the person on the other side of the treaty begins committing war crimes, and Foxy agrees with you, by the way. Foxy's with you on here. That doesn't bode well for my argument, but.
It's not his place to pull out. He has to have congressional agreement.
Let me finish the point here. When they start engaging in war crimes, that breaks the treaty. We didn't agree to help them with war crimes. We have a moral, an ethical, and a legal obligation to not fulfill our end of the treaty as though they are behaving normally. They're not. We're participating in a genocide there. It doesn't matter
Which
if we
so
said we would help them, rain or
that's
shine.
why
Rain doesn't
that's why
include
he's
war
been
crimes.
holding back on aid.
So if you agree in principle,
That's
why
why
not
he's been
follow
holding
through
back
all the
on the
way?
aid.
Well, why not follow through all the way and hold back on arms shipments? The
He
guns they're
has.
using
He's
to do the
delayed
war
them.
crimes. Okay, so we are in
He's
agreement
delayed
there.
them.
So we do agree then that
I mean, he's
not
doing what he
obligated.
can. He's doing what he can. He's doing what he can within his ability to do so, without being sanctioned, which he's going to get sanctioned by the House and the Senate anyway, because the Republicans are always it's like I heard who I forget who it was that said like if this whole thing about anti-Israeli sentiment, right? Anti-Semitism. They're constantly pointing fingers and calling anybody on the Democratic side anti-Semites, right? They're constantly blaming that for the lack of aid or the slowing down of the support, and it has nothing to do with that, because what we're fighting is Netanyahu. Netanyahu is not the Israeli people. He is not Israel. He is one man who was put in place by a bunch of crooked assholes. So we can fuck up his game, but if we go cutting off this and just walking away and causing turmoil here, which is going to make it harder for us to get the House and Senate and the House, also going to fuck up the for the rest of the people over there who are to need our people to stop. 3/4 of Israelis want that shit to stop. The only people who are holding out is just like here, like the fucking MAGA hats here, right? They're the ones that still want to put a dictator in place and calling for fucking war if they don't get their way.
I think Americans can smell bullshit even if they can't recognize it on sight. And it sounds like a lot of arguments that I'm hearing are, oh, we need to calm down about this Israel thing now because we need to win first, and then we can worry about it. And all I'm saying is I don't see why winning should be harmed by us being honest about what's happening in Israel and how we should proceed. Although I recognize that Kamala Harris is in an awkward position because she's going to F with the job Biden is currently doing by coming out and saying some of the facts right now. She's in a difficult position, but I do think that there has to be a way to communicate to people who are unsatisfied with how Biden's doing and not trying to convince them that he's done a great job, because I'm sorry, he hasn't. No matter
I'm not
what,
saying that
no
he
matter
has
how
done I didn't say it was a great job. I never said it was a great job.
Sure.
Obviously.
Sure, but I didn't mean to suggest you were. I just mean, like, we have to it cannot be that it's impossible for us to find the argument that sums up how Harris is going to do better than Biden's done for these people that are so concerned about it that they're spending their afternoon interrupting a speech for the person that's going to help them most. I don't know what that is. I'm giving you an impossible task here. I'm giving us an impossible task to come up with it in the middle of a talk show. I hope eventually somebody's got a line like "We're not going back" that sums up how Harris is going to save some human lives over there. I don't have it. I don't know what it is. We're having such mic issues today. Oh, wait, now I hear you. No, I don't. Okay, well,
make stuff better.
Fair enough.
Am I back?
Let me say this. You are back. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, man.
Say this.
And the delay, and it's going to have to catch up and stuff.
Yeah. Let me just say this. Interesting conversation. I want to have more of it. I'll come up with some actual questions on this specific topic. We can try to work out an answer to. Let's call back on a day where the internet is being kinder to us.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, man.
Sure.
I am
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be an apologist. I'm not trying to be an apologist for Biden. Okay? I'm
No,
not saying
just
that he's done
being
a
real.
great job on this. Obviously not. I don't see how anybody else could, to be honest, not without stirring up even more of the shit in the pot here. He's trying to dodge bullets from every freaking direction, home and abroad.
Yeah.
But
And
what he's
I'll
been
add
able to
on to that.
do so far is
I don't know what those protesters were trying to accomplish at the Harris
exactly
speech. What are we
other
supposed
than
to do with
stir some
that?
shit.
Yeah, you're
Nothing. There's
unsatisfied.
nothing that can be done at a campaign rally.
Yeah. I think if they're going to protest anybody, the only person it makes sense to protest is Biden. Whether you agree with that or not, at least like whether you agree that he can do anything more or not, he's the only
And
person
that's
who can
fine.
do it. She doesn't have
Exactly.
policy. Yeah. Like
Exactly. Even as vice president, she doesn't have policy. She's not making policy.
no.
She has no say in what's going on over there, and continuing to harp on it and pull attention away from a fight that we're in the middle of right now that's extremely important is doing nothing but handing over votes to the wrong people and making that victory just a little more and more diminished, so that when it comes time to certify those votes, there's going to be judges and there's going to be fucking vote counters, fake electors in all these states that are going to be like, well, it's kind of, that's a pretty close.
Yeah. I do think there's a degree of pot stirring happening. I don't know if it's done with malicious intent or not, but I think whatever we do has to be strategic for the next 90 days. Mike, I'm gonna cut you
Some of it
loose
is.
because it's going in and out so much. But I do
Yeah,
thank
I
you for the
know.
call,
I get
brother,
it. I
man.
appreciate you.
See
Man,
ya.
let's hope we can win this shit. Fucking
Oh,
vote
we're
blue
gonna.
if you can bring yourself to do it, y'all.
Oh, absolutely.
We need it.
We're gonna wallop these guys.
And things will get better after this, because it's like when you're it's like when you want to flip a house, you can't start putting in new carpet and drapes until you fucking replace the floorboards and put a new fucking roof on the place. Okay, that's
Fair
what we
point.
got to do. We got to fix the
Good on you,
foundation,
brother.
and then we can start fucking putting on new paint colors and all that stuff. Man, love you guys. Fucking let's do this. We're not going back.
Hell yeah. See you, Mike. Wireless Mike, if you haven't already, he's got a channel on YouTube. It's called My Dramatic Impact. Go check it out. He writes and reads original content. It is fun. It's stories. It's fun. Melanie Cosmic Fox, when asking how we can convince people, it's called sexual favors. Yeah, I went out and performed so many sexual favors trying to get the universal health care. And then I found out that truck stop wasn't even the RNC. Frustrating. You do what you can. Foxy, dropping a link here. Which I cannot copy. Yeah, let me just assume that's a link to an agreement that says we have to help Israel in all things at all times. Let me just assume it's a thing that says it's legally binding. We're required to massage Israel's shoulders, even as they, fill in the blank, do whatever. My point, which I stand by, no matter how binding that document seems, is that you cannot agree legally to participate in a crime, because a crime is by definition against the law. If it's a war crime that Israel is committing, and they are, we are not, I repeat, we are not obligated to that treaty. I don't care what it says. A war crime that they are doing and continue to do negates our obligation to that treaty, because then we're assisting them in committing a genocide. Now, the reason we are not obligated for that is because when we sign such a thing, it's assumed that all of the content therein takes place within the bounds of the law. To go with my analogy, if I agree to be your Uber driver, your exclusive Uber driver for 10 years, I'm there for you. And then you take me and my white Bronco to Nicole Brown Simpson's home and you kill Nicole, that frees me of my obligation to help you flee the police. Because it was assumed that I wasn't talking about getting into being crime buddies together. That's what I'm saying. "2022 reaffirmed the ironclad strategic partnership between the United States and Israel, underscoring a mutual commitment to advance collaboration in support of regional security and reinforce the historic achievement of recent normalization." Recent? How recent? Like Trump era recent? Normalization under the Abraham Accords. Foxy, if you're disagreeing with what I'm saying, you got to address that main point. Are we still obligated in spite of the genocide? If I'm not understanding that correctly, that's like a fundamental part of my opinion on all these matters. If I'm not understanding that, you got to explain how I got that wrong. And if I didn't get that wrong, you need to reckon with the fact that the genocide part of what they're doing frees us of our obligation to help them in military matters. And I believe it does. And in fact, I think it obligates us to not help them. Worth a thought. Use the link if you want to talk about it in person. You don't like my music. Did Israel co-sign a U.S. military spending bill? I mean, look, she's not. What she's saying is not wild. It is an agreement we signed. They don't have to. I mean, they didn't have to have co-signed our military spending bill for us to be obligated to give some of it to them. Just like Ukraine didn't have to. The difference being, are we assisting in a crime or not? Jake, I don't know yet. I'm reading now. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just providing information on prior agreement. No, you're not. I'm shadow boxing here. You're fine, and I appreciate the information. But it is a weird position that we're in. Like, we have two allies simultaneously fighting wars, and a major topic of conversation is, not unlike prior to a gentleman by the name of Archduke Ferdinand having a no good, very bad day, we have a lot of pre-existing agreements that obligate a tremendous war machine to do a lot of tremendous war machine things. And it now falls on us civilians to try to unravel this ball of yarn and figure out what the fuck's going on so our nukes don't point in the wrong direction. I will send you the link. I saw the link. Hold on. I'm not so lazy that I can't just go. I got it. I'll go in the chat on YouTube. Hold up. Now I hear myself saying, hold on. I see the link from earlier. I'm copying it. Damn it. Oh, there's people saying what you can do. Oh, can you have a second guest on, says Donald James, 2 at once? Yes, absolutely I can. I can have up to 5. Foxy, I'm putting this on the screen right now. Let's have a gander. What the? Give me a second. I'm going to get both these on at once. I hate everything. Oh, there we go. That's nice. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it this way. Oh, but then we have that. Whatever. Okay, gang. U.S. security cooperation with Israel. A fact sheet from the Bureau of Political and Military Affairs. This is from October 19th, 2023. What a day. Steadfast support for Israel's security has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy for every U.S. administration since the presidency of Harry S. Truman. Since its founding in 1948, the U.S. has provided Israel with over $130 billion in bilateral assistance, focused on addressing new and complex security threats, bridging Israel's capability gaps through security assistance and cooperation, increasing interoperability through joint exercises, and helping I nailed that word. Come on. And helping Israel maintain its qualitative military edge. This assistance has helped transform the Israeli Defense Forces into one of the world's most capable, effective militaries, and turn the Israeli military industry and technology sector into one of the largest exporters of military capabilities worldwide. Since 1983, the United States and Israel have met regularly via the Joint Political Military Group to promote shared policies, address common threats and concerns, and identify new areas for security cooperation. The 48th JPMG, held in October 2022, reaffirmed the ironclad strategic, they use that word a lot, it makes me nervous, ironclad strategic partnership between the United States and Israel, underscoring a mutual commitment to advance collaboration in support of regional security and reinforce the historic achievements of recent normalization under the Abraham Accords. Here it is. Israel is the leading global recipient of Title 22 U.S. security assistance under the Foreign Military Financing Program. This has been formalized by a 10-year memorandum, supposed to span from 2019 to 2028, Memorandum of Understanding. Consistent with the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, the United States annually provides $3.3 billion in foreign military financing and $500 million for cooperative programs for missile defense. Since fiscal year 2009, the United States has provided Israel with $3.4 billion in funding for missile defense, including $1.3 billion for Iron Dome support starting in fiscal year 2011. So basically, it sounds like it is a deal to provide arms to Israel, specifically defense. I'm all for still funding the Iron Dome. I know a lot of folks aren't. I'm for it. I'm for purely funding the defensive measures. And yet, what the do I know? Let's talk about something different for a while. The Letterhack. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going? I'm on my phone. Does this sound okay?
It does. Sounds good. Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about something different, but I also
we can talk about this. I just didn't want to throw you under the Israel-bound bus.
No, that's cool because I was just going to throw something out there and then just hopefully just listen to you talk about it. I just want to hear your thoughts on it. It's not, sorry, it's not a debate necessarily, but I'm going to give you something that I think you would debate. Is that cool? Okay.
Yeah.
So since the protesters at that rally last night, I've been hearing and reading just like a mix of things online. And a couple of things that don't sit right with me are it's going to be a genocide no matter who's in charge. Okay. It's essentially this. It's a genocide either way. If you can't stop it, sell them weapons. And that is, to me, it's like the current administration, it's like, hey, it's not Biden's fault, it's a genocide. What can he even do? I don't know, stop selling them weapons, right? Like at a minimum. And so I just wonder what your thoughts are on that. My thoughts on protesting and civil disobedience and where a protest should happen, when a protest should happen. Protesting is part of democracy. That's part of the whole thing that we have going on here. Personally, And I'm one guy, but personally, I think it's up to the politician to deal with that. It's up to them to roll with that. Protests happening at a rally is throwing the politician a curveball. What do you got? Are you going to be president? How do you handle this? What do you want to do? Well, okay. Kamala Harris handled it how she handled it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can all sit around and debate whether the protester should have done it or not. It's in the past. It really is, because how she handled it is going to determine whether there will be or won't be more protest. Now, do you think there won't be more protest
I think
at future rallies?
I honestly don't know. I think probably is the answer there, but
Do you think she shut it down?
No, but I wonder how many people feel the way I do, which is, yeah, you're saying you're looking at it right now from the what ought Harris to have done point of view, and that's legitimate, and we should talk about that. And Harris, as you said, especially yesterday, I love the point you made. Harris should have expected such a thing and should have something ready to go. And now she
Yeah.
knows it's coming. She should have a better response, ready to go, one that wins these people over as opposed to rejecting them. It does not change the fact, though, that a person watching that will not understand what it is they're going for. What are they trying to get Harris to say or do? And that's key to a protest. So part of effective I agree, it's part of democracy. Well, part of effective protesting is also making it clear what you're trying to have happen. If people don't know, what the is the point?
Yeah, I think they were making it known that they're not. I mean, just personally, what I think, because I wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
To me, it was just a matter of saying, we're not letting anyone in this administration off the hook. And going forward, I mean, Jake, have we heard a policy on this yet? Or any policy, any sort of platform? Okay, so safe to assume it's this.
Well, we
with
have heard
hope that it will be better than this. You know what I mean? But that's just hope. Like,
I don't think it's purely hope. I think she has signaled. I think the pick of Tim Walz in general is a nod towards progressives, and specifically when it comes to Israel, she gave a frosty reception to Netanyahu. She said she was talking about this in terms of a genocide. I think that's a big step. She's the first person that mentioned that civilian deaths need to stop, and specifically talked about civilian deaths.
Yeah, I like that, and I agree, and I think this is more than just because the candidate says a lot of stuff, and the second they become president, they're like, "Oh no, we can't do it." But this isn't exactly like raise the minimum wage. You know what I mean? This is civilian deaths is a lot more serious, and not something that you would say, "Oh, it turns out we couldn't prevent the citizens' deaths." You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't say that if you didn't mean it. So I do think it's more than hope. But
yes,
where's the rock solid platform? What are we running on here? And I have to wonder if they're like, I honestly don't know when the appropriate time to roll such a thing out would be, but
I don't either.
Are they nervous that it would conflict with the fact that they're a part of the current administration? If their policy is directly opposed to the vice president is the current vice president wants to be president. If their platform going forward as president conflicts with what the current president, you see what I mean? That's a little messy, right? Like, how do they keep those balls in the air?
I was going to do this to you. I was going to do this to you, mother. I was going to say, how does she do this? And then make you try to answer it. But
that's
all right,
what I mean.
I'll take a whack at it. Because that's what I really don't know is like, let's say and I failed to really communicate this to Mike. Let's say she does have like a policy in mind that's really going to thrill the people that would have been at that rally. How does she let them know, but not with Biden at the same time? Maybe I'll toss this out there because I assume she's watching. Maybe the thing to do is come out and give a press conference where she's like, "Hey, I'm campaigning now. I'm a different person from Joe Biden. I love Joe. He's a great friend. I think he was the leader we needed. But I am a different person, and I will have different policies. And I want you to know that policies I talk about next are not necessarily the views of Biden. And then lay out how she would do this, that, or the other thing, including with Israel. But god damn, that seems risky. Like not let me try this again. It doesn't seem risky. It seems weird. It seems outside of the norm. And right now the whole campaign is about how Trump is that, you know?
I think they want to put the focus on Trump and the Republicans, and rightly so. I do think that everything gets worse, even exponentially worse, if Trump wins. I do not think if I live anywhere in that region, things could get worse. I think you know what I'm saying? So like if somebody's like, I don't think they give a good goddamn in Gaza, and I could be totally wrong. Like this is not my field of expertise.
Yeah.
But if my house and whole community and everyone I knew was obliterated, I'd be like, what are you saying? Like it could be worse than this if a Republican gets elected? Seriously? Okay, because this is pretty awful.
Like, how does it get worse than my home was destroyed, my dog was exploded, my
no
grandma's
family
dead,
left, or
and nothing's
it's
gone?
just
Yeah.
I
get me too and end my suffering? Oh well, you know.
Yeah, mass graves, the rape of inmates and or not inmates, prisoners, and it's just it to me. This is like we're sitting here watching this happen, and anyone who criticizes it is referred to as anti-Semitic, which is just like I feel like who are you talking to? How dare you say that? But then I hear that Congress is actively pushing to make make there be criminal penalties for people who are anti-Israeli protesters. And that to me means that they're aligned with the genocide, because this is the most obvious genocide I've ever seen in my life, right? So for it to be, you know, well, it could be worse. I don't agree with that. And two, it's a genocide either way. Give Joe a break is not. That's totally unacceptable. And I'm, for the record, I'm not saying I've heard anyone say that tonight on your show. This isn't me like responding to anything I've heard or read in the chat. But you know, you dip in and out of Twitter, and it's like, ugh. So I have some of the rhetoric out there is, you guys, you're fucking this up. And I have heard that on your show tonight. But like, you guys are fucking this up by protesting. And my immediate response to that is, well, okay. I mean, Kamala Harris is a professional politician. She should be able to handle this. It's kind of her bad if she can't. And two, who's fucking it up? Because there are active members of Congress who are allowing and aligned with it and trying to make anyone who's not criminally liable.
That's kind of my point, though. Is like I think they are fucking it up. I think those people at that protested last, that not only wasn't helpful, that was hurtful. And
but it's already fucked up, is what I'm saying. Like,
but that now when we're talking about that, we're talking about two different things. Because the people who are saying you're fucking this up, they're normally talking about you're fucking up Kamala. Damn it, you're fucking up Kamala Harris's chances to get in the White House. I'm saying you're up the progress we've made on Gaza to these protesters.
Right.
If your protest is unclear, and look, I want to be clear, nobody on screen is endorsing anything I'm saying, including me. But like I had these feelings about the tail end of the Black Lives Matter protests too, where they were doing great, and then like I don't know how the right wing did this, but they always seem to pull the rug out from under us, and we wind up protesting in ways that go against. Oh, let me try this again. Basically, it was unclear. When they were protesting Harris, I didn't understand. As somebody who was watching it, I didn't understand what they were trying to get done. And I think that takes the strength out of the argument, because then nobody can tell what's up. What I'd like to see is those same protests happening, but restricted to the people that are doing what you say, are calling the anti Netanyahu protesters, Josh Shapiro, basically. Put it on Josh Shapiro. Put it on, I assume, I haven't even checked, but I assume Joe Manchin. Put it on those cats. But with Kamala, damn it, Jake. All right, fine. I'm going to start saying Harris.
It's been 24 hours. You're okay. You're okay.
You're all right. All right. With Kamala, I haven't seen, like, she's done some things that signal a willingness to be sane and stop this madness. That's all I'm saying. Is she seems like she's on our side already. So why are we yelling at her? Why not instead yell at the people who are clearly not on our side, so we can shine the light on the baddies? But maybe there's something to be said for the bigger.
Yeah, I mean, on our side, all due respect, sounds dramatic, because I'm definitely not on their side. Doing things that we agree with, I'm there. But on our side, like, we're still on opposite sides, I think, politically.
On
but
the issue of whether the war crimes should be aided.
Right. So
I don't know why it's controversial, but it apparently is.
I think what we agree on is that, and I think that anyone in their right mind, progressive, would agree that she needs to figure out a way to handle that. She needs to be able to address that in a way that everyone is like, yeah, okay. That's neutral, at least, not just. She gave the exact same response to them that she gave to Mike Pence during the debate, where she's like, I'm talking right now. It's like, okay, that's your go-to.
And a progressive in particular, the whole point is that we have popular enough issues that there are going to be people like this who do ill-informed or poorly timed or whatever. The point, like, I still think, I'm happy to nitpick and say, I wish these protesters would have been more precise or done this or that. You've keyed in on the main thing of importance here, which is, regardless of what they should have done, their hearts are clearly in the correct place. And it's on Kamala Harris to win them over. And it shouldn't be hard for her to win them over. And if they're chanting at a rally, okay, I know it's annoying that somebody's talking while you're talking, but they're right in front of you, and they're people who should be more likely to vote for you than the other guy. So win them right now. Here you go. You got a mic. There they are.
Because
How is that difficult?
I'm the candidate, right?
Yeah.
I assume all these people that waited in that long line of cars to get into the rally and then packed the seats are here to vote for me, right? And like, maybe I don't have to work so hard to win all these folks over, because they did everything they could to get in here and they've been cheering a lot. So as a candidate, and this is just how I approach things from like a managerial perspective or point of view, I want the disruption and the madness and the insubordinate people. I look for that, because the rest of it is cookie cutter. I could do my regular politician thing with everyone, but when it comes to the people who are gonna protest me, that's where I shine. And I'm not seeing that. And that I never see that. And I just wish one time we would see a politician who knew how to handle that perfectly. Honestly, I don't really know what it would be. That would be a good discussion sometime, to spitball what she could say or what someone could say in that moment. But I just want them to. I mean, last night we sort of just threw around the idea that she could say, hey, I've got people in the audience. Can somebody please, let's exchange contact information? Or I want to talk to you after this. Don't worry, I hear you. I want to talk with you. We're not setting you aside to arrest you. We're setting you aside so we can continue the conversation. let's go back to all these people are here to hear what I have to say. Let me finish it, and then I'll come talk to you. Instead of, I'm talking right now.
All right. So first of all, that is now the conversation we're having on this particular stream.
Okay.
I think that's the worthy conversation. What should Kamala Harris have said? You've given us a great starting point, which is in the moment. That's a complicated issue and not what they were talking about. But what you don't say is shut up. What you do say is, all right, we're going to talk about this. You're going to talk directly with me about this. Congratulations. You just did something that a lobbyist has to pay $1 million for normally. Go stand over there.
Yep.
And we'll talk about it after. I think that's the way to handle it going forward.
And
unless we come up with something better tonight.
Well, you could go right back on the mic and say, look, all future protesters, just have a list of demands ready. Just have your top 3, your top 5 things that you want me to know. Have them ready because I'm open. I want to hear it. I'm not saying I can do anything or would do anything about it, but just have them ready because if you're going to get up and protest, I'm going to ask you to stop so I can go on with the rally or the talk. But then you got to be able to just hand off what you want me to know.
Yeah.
Is that so bad? Would that signal to donors and supporters and voters that she's weak somehow or
Not at all.
I mean, because look, this is something I think about often. When the Democrat wins, they are president of the Democrat and Republican voters.
Yeah.
Like they serve everyone. They're not the boss. They're the employee. They serve we do sort of vote them into the boss position, I guess, but like there, there's a lot of trust involved there, I guess, but we need them to serve the entire country. We need them to
They're the ultimate employee.
Yeah, they need to just work for everyone. And that includes people who, for whatever reason, want to protest.
Beautiful.
But then, she didn't do it last night, and so maybe that's like, going to help her be like, well, going forward, maybe I should have something at the ready. Because if she does that again, what do you think that's going to, because the protesters, if she didn't shut down the protest last night, and they're going to keep doing that, and she keeps responding the same way, then there's potentially more damage than if people were just protesting. I don't know.
I agree. I think handling that badly is worse than just standing there and letting them yell. Like but fortunately it's an easy, like, now that it's happened, now that she knows that it wasn't enough apparently to put Tim Walz up there, and okay, fair enough. Have something ready to go. Be prepared, because as you say, probably is going to happen again.
Yeah. And you and I have talked enough about this on and off air that, I'm as excited as anybody for what's going on. But at the same time, there's a sickness in the world that I can't even look at. You know what I mean? Like these images that have been coming out since this all started last October have just been some of the most horrendous things I've ever seen. And just when you think you've seen the worst, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing that. And you got to think everyone's seeing this.
It's murder on a mass scale. And once upon a time, we all got together and said never again. And the irony that we're forgetting that now is disturbing.
That's what needs to be addressed. And there's nothing anti-Semitic about it. I don't care who's perpetrating. We have to go after these people one way or another. And even if that means, it seems super simple to just stop selling them weapons.
Yes. I would love to see our world leaders get together and handcuff themselves together and lay in front of tanks and do like an old school hippie protest, but it's our world leaders saying, all right, if you want to go massacre this neighborhood in Rafah, you've got to run over the world leaders of 3 of your biggest allies. Go ahead. Or what you could do is just chill the fuck out and stop massacring civilians. Netanyahu, you psychopath. Insane. Sir, I'm going to take a call from Donald James X. If it's all right with you. Matt? Oh, that's shockingly good timing. Matt, thank you for joining us. I will see you on the next John from San Antonio stream. And if I'm talking over you right now, I apologize. I can't hear you. And I now worry that the audio issue was not coming from wireless mic, but was coming from inside the house. I'll see you around, Fred. DJ X, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can hear you. How are you, Fred?
Yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, Matt just went mute all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm concerned that it's me doing this. I hope not.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to you guys talk, and I agree with everything you guys were talking about while I was waiting. I just wanted to give you my 2 cents, what I observed, because I was here watching that same rally with you, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't notice what was going on in the crowd. I didn't know people were protesting. I didn't notice it. Okay.
Same.
And
I had no idea.
When I went back and watched, when I understood what was going on, I went back and watched it. I noticed that there were 2 reactions. There was the first reaction when the protesters started chanting. Okay. At first she said, this is a democracy. Everybody has the right to have their voices heard, but I'm speaking right now. That's what she said, right? So she tried to continue, and then there was a second reaction. That's when she reacted more abruptly. She was if you want Trump to win, then what did she say? If you want Trump to win, then vote for him.
Yeah.
But I'm speaking like that.
Yeah. She said, if you want Trump to win, then say so. But right now, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
So, and the second response seemed a little bit more patronizing to me.
Yeah.
So
because her patience was running thin at that point. She's trying to give a speech. Yeah.
Yeah, and so ultimately, what I think about it is, of course, we're all on the side of the protesters. I don't think anybody here is not on the side of the protesters, right?
Broadly, yes.
Okay. But it's her event. It's her event, okay? And so there has to be, I agree. There, like what Matt was saying, there's other avenues. Get an agreement to speak with them. Give them what they want. Cater to them instead of being so abrupt and patronizing with the second reaction. You know, and
recognize that they are being loud because they want to be heard. So hear them.
Right.
You're there campaigning. You're in their neck of the woods. Do what you said you're there to do. You're not there to talk at them. You're there to campaign. So go campaign. Shake hands. Hear their problems. And if you have a solution, present it to them. Yeah, I don't think that's such a crazy idea. I think Matt had a really good plan with telling them, like, use the mic and say, okay, I understand. You got a point you want to make. Go wait over there, and I will talk to you when I'm done giving this speech. I got to give this speech, though, because I'm on TV right now.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
That's reasonable.
That's reasonable. Right. She was a little patronizing, and I can understand why that hit a nerve with people who are on the side of the protesters, which we all are. It hit a nerve with me. I was like, well, come on. You shouldn't. I mean, that's a little bit over the top. I mean, but another thing, I'm going to switch directions here about the protesters. So a lot of people believe in disruption in protesting. They believe in disruption. They believe in civil disobedience. They believe that's part of letting their voices heard. Okay.
I certainly do. Yeah.
How far do protesters go? Do you think those same protesters will actually withhold their vote and not vote at all?
I don't know. I truly don't know.
Okay, so in a hypothetical, and this question goes out to Mike too, who was here earlier. Let's say we do lose Michigan. And that in Michigan was the reason why lost the whole thing to Trump, right? And we found out the reason why is because a lot of pro Israel genocide, or excuse me, a lot of pro Palestine voters chose to not vote, and we found out because of the numbers, right? How many people are gonna blame those voters? So I'm asking. I also want to ask Mike: would he blame those same voters if we found out is the reason why we lost to Trump?
You know, I'm sure a lot of people would, but I wouldn't. And my reasoning is this: if you cannot convince somebody to vote for you when their only objection to doing so is that you are in some way tied to a genocide, the problem is you. It's not them. And it might be, oh, I know, but it's going to get worse and all these other things. But they're not asking for much of a hurdle to be cleared. They're asking you to convince them that you won't participate in a genocide. That should be the easiest thing to do in the world. It should be a zero friction issue. The easiest thing to talk to folks and explain why you won't participate in a genocide. So it sucks that we're in this spot. And I think I do maintain that the protesters did the worst sin I think a protester can do in that moment, which is to be confusing. But it's still not their fault. Even if the whole race gets lost because of this issue, it's not their fault. In my opinion, it's the candidates. But the good news is, I think Kamala Harris is I think Kamala Harris is savvy enough to figure out how to communicate to these folks. I think she'll do it.
Me too. And another question was, Kamala did. She did. I mean, for one thing, she did ditch Bibi at the speech, so that's one act that she did, right?
Yeah.
And she did lay out a ceasefire plan. Wasn't there some kind of like 3-step plan?
She did. Yeah, I think that's not as convincing to folks because we've heard ceasefire plans before and they usually get ignored. But I mean, credit where it's due. Yeah, she did lay out a ceasefire plan, and she did say that the killing of civilians needs to stop. That hasn't been said before by the U.S. government. So good start. Good start for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, that's something to go by off of. That's what I was saying in the chat. I mean, she did say these things, and that's what we have to go off of right now. You know?
Absolutely.
So, I guess that's it. So, yeah, I agree. I think she should go in that direction, and she should appease those protests, their voice. You know?
Yeah.
She can get those votes still.
Absolutely, she can. Yes.
You know, but if she doesn't, and people want to take their protest so far as to not vote, I'm on your side. I'm not gonna blame. I don't vote shame nobody.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. Unless you're MAGA, then I'm gonna shame the
I'll
fuck
do it
out
a
of
bit,
you.
yeah.
Then I'm gonna shame the fuck out of you. But other than that, I don't vote shame anybody. You know, so
Donald James X.
Okay.
I'm looking for. Thank you. I think you have a good point, and I'm looking forward to the lip sync video. That's gonna be a hoot.
All right then.
I'll see you, brother man.
All right, later.
We got another caller on the line, going by the handle Melanie Cosmic Fox. How are you, my friend?
Hello. How's it going? Can you hear me okay?
I surely can. How you doing?
I came in because I offered someone a chance to chat to me. They've been kind of coming at me, but I also had some thoughts on the destructive protest discourse, because I'm one of the people, like, I try to push for that more than voting even. I try to advocate for the people who feel disenfranchised on the far left, possibly by people like Kamala. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a bad time. because it is election season to call her Kamala, but like prior to this, that is a lot of what the left called her, right? And
Yeah.
I think, coming into like the old trope of like it's a distraction, right? It's distracting us from the bigger issues. There are a lot of bigger issues at play. I don't expect her to loosen her grip on crime and stuff like that. I do expect her to be kind of the law and order candidate we're worried about. Um, Even though she is progressive at the same time, you can be both, right? Sorry about that. So I think it's very important that we remain skeptical and we are willing to protest her administration when the time comes to it. Like we have to draw
Well,
a
I think
line, and
that's
when they
true.
cross it, yeah, we have to draw a line, and when they cross it, like at the very least, the next time someone, can you stop, please? Thanks. When she crosses it, then we have to, very much try to tell her and her administration, don't go any further.
Well, I
And
do agree with that.
we can't just hold up signs. I'm sorry. Sorry that I keep adding on, but we can't just hold up signs either. Like that doesn't do anything to them.
Well, it's adding on to the point where I'm not sure what the main point is, because if it's and it goes, you know what? Let me just go back to this. How do you feel about the most recent protest at the event? Because my complaint about it was that I don't understand what they're asking for. What are they asking Kamala Harris? Damn it. Let me try this again. I'm going in this stream, I'm going to learn to say this name correctly. What are they asking Kamala Harris to do? And if
I
it's
haven't
unclear to
seen the
you, just
most
let me know.
recent. Yeah, I haven't seen the most recent protest, to be clear. But I think what
Well,
most leftists are afraid
I
of
can give you the
is kind of
play-by-play. All
okay.
that happened was they were chanting a pro-Palestine slogan in the middle of her speech, and I'm all for the slogan. I just don't get what the. And by the way, I think there's a greater responsibility on Kamala Harris to appease the protesters than there is for the protesters to make sense. But that said, I was watching. I'm on their side on this issue, and I still don't get what it was they were trying to convey by interrupting her speech.
So yeah, I think maybe they're a little worried that, the victory over Trump will, a little bit of pun intended here, will trump the Palestine issue, given that right now things are probably the most dire and we are at the
Mm.
most risk because it's been going on for so long of losing touch with it. I am seeing some leftists video, what would you say, video channels posting about Palestine less.
Yeah. Well, that's not wrong. I think probably, and that's really a failure of whatever you consider my class to be. It's the streamer folks, the ramen noodle eating mouthy folks. I I think if we're gonna
Yeah,
do
and I come
anything,
from debate where like that's an issue too. Sorry.
well, I just think we need to focus on Joe Biden.
Did
He's the
you did
one
you
that
want
can
to
stop this right now. And it really even shouldn't be an issue for Kamala, because if we wait all the way until January 20th of next year to do anything different, another, what, 100,000, 150,000 civilians are going to be killed? That can't be acceptable. No, we gotta bother Joe Biden about this, I feel.
So I think if I'm going to empathize with the Palestinian protesters, I think trying to get Biden to change on something is kind of feels like talking to a stalk of corn. Whereas Kamala at least seems responsive to what people are saying to her. Biden's like we saw how long it took for Biden to even just let go of his presidential run and cede it to Kamala, despite the public outcry being, deafening at that point. So I personally wouldn't blame somebody for saying like, I feel more likely that Kamala will shift her tone than Biden will. The
Well,
other side of
does
it,
she need does her tone need shifting though?
it
All I know,
depends how
all she
many.
said on it so far is that she wants the killing of civilians to stop, which can be interpreted as wishy-washy nonsense or like she's fully on the side of peace here. And well, you know what? I'm inferring too much. She said she wants the killing of civilians to stop, and she did that literally in front of Netanyahu. What
Sure.
else are we asking for? Not
Well, I
that
think you mean more
let me say
proactive.
that's not a rhetorical question. I mean literally, is there other things we should be asking
Yeah,
for?
for sure. Like maybe some proactive rhetoric, like, here's what I'm going to do if, like, especially if Israel seems to be sabotaging the peace negotiations. Um,
Yeah.
because if you're not paying attention, it's really easy to kind of believe that it's all Hamas that sabotages the
Yeah.
peace stuff. That's basically the mainstream media's line. I tend to follow Democracy Now, Al Jazeera News, and stuff like that. And I'm not going to take one side or the other because it does come from both sides. But if anything, I see Hamas reacting to Israel more.
Yeah.
And so I think hearing from their administration that they'd be willing to actually do something when they see Israel escalating or agitating would be better than just saying kind of like vague rhetoric.
Yeah. That I would agree. That'd probably be a good idea. I'd like it, even if it just takes the form of more signaling. Like if you, I see. As I'm saying this out loud, I'm wondering what could she communicate to voters, and I don't want to pretend like it may. Try this again. Starting over. I don't know. I truly don't know politics or presidential politics this well. But it seems to me like it should not be an impossible task for her to have a conversation about what she'll do differently than Joe Biden without undermining Joe Biden's last few years. I don't think that should be such an impossible knot to untangle. And yet, when I try to like come up with a thing she could say that she'll do differently than Biden would about Israel, I always imagine how that will undermine current negotiations, you know? Like
Well,
if she says, for example, if they hit this mark, then we're definitely doing this. If this many civilians die, then we're definitely doing this. Well, how do we know that like right now Biden isn't saying that number minus 10,000 is our red line. You'll never cross it or I'll do this, that, or the other thing, you know?
yeah, I guess to me, it doesn't personally matter. And I've never considered like the implications of her undermining Biden in this last time.
The implications
Is
might
that
be that
really the focus?
fair point. You know what? Fair point. So what if she does? He hasn't done a good job.
He's already
And
kind of embarrassed himself. Yeah.
yeah. Is it her responsibility to preserve his legacy? I suppose not. But she is his vice president. And that does come
And
with
he has
responsibility.
2
Like
terms
she
ahead
has to
of
do that
her.
job. Yeah.
Think about how many
All right.
voters are going to come of age. And people like
Yeah.
Vosh are just absolutely discarding Biden, and Vosh is heavily influencing voters who are coming of age. Not that I'm a
Yeah.
big Vosh fan, but we have to consider that.
No, you got
Sorry
a
for all
point.
the ambiance.
Hey, that's life. I'm glad to hear you've got one. I'm just here in the void. It's very quiet most of the time. I
I
think
do
you got.
stream and debate stuff like that. By the way, I'm not trying
Well,
to promo
wait a minute
myself.
now. Just plug the channel. Let's have some fun. Do you mind if we? You know what,
Funnily
Evan?
enough,
Can we really get meta here? Are you okay with us watching your content together? Or is that too
it's
freaky right
really
now?
old. It's
Oh,
really
fair
old and
enough.
poorly. I'm not like the most like I'm not good at video editing, right? So nothing I really do is that focus. I'm more of a debater, and so it's about getting on panels and stuff like that. Which, by the way, I was thinking about reaching out to you and the Letterhack and
You
saying I'm
have.
going to be hosting some panels. I have.
Now. You're doing it
For some.
now.
Oh, right, okay.
You
Because I
got
was
my
like, did
interest.
I? Because I sometimes do that, and I just want to have some panels because I think most of the panels in the debate scene online exclude the left by default, kind of takes for granted that our further positions are just debunked and not worth talking about, they're boring or
Yeah.
whatever. And I think we were actually really stirring stuff up around 2016, stuff like that, when we were on panels. And I want to bring that back. Like, I want to bring back the energy that we can actually make people care about politics again through debate. Maybe we can't
Yeah.
debunk the far right. We can't stop fascism. We can't live up to all these
Why
ideals
not?
that people say. Well,
Sam
because
Cedar
as
converted
a medium,
libertarians. It's doable.
oh, it is doable, right? But like not against pundits, not against the people who make a living, who's basically their talking points are their grift.
Well, you
Because
haven't
like
seen
if
me
you go up
dance yet.
against Tim Pool, no, I agree, but like when someone's incentivized by their audience or even like the people who pay them to say what they do, thinking of like Peter Thiel's type of media influenced people, um, then you're probably not going to move them or their audience very much from what they're saying just because of the popularity mechanics, right? You will convince certain people from that group, especially the bigger you get. So as much as I hate the game, and there are issues with debates, like it can get very petty. Like we kind of have to moderate ourselves and conduct ourselves better. In general, the left has gone kind of on the deep end on that. I've done it myself, and I've looked at myself in the past and been like, I could have done so much better. But I think that that kind of opens us up to show that we can win debates again, right? By not being petty, by being a
Yeah.
little bit intellectual, but also being populist, and not in the bad way, but
Yes.
just by like speaking to the masses. Because one of the things I was going to
Absolutely.
say is like, with the protests against Kamala in Palestine, I think the other side of it is a lot of these protests have to start smaller, and so it doesn't appear like critical mass. But what they're hoping is that it will result in maybe like a weekly or a monthly protest that is critical mass, that kind of looks like that. So it'll
Yeah.
eventually kind of roll into something bigger. But they also say that like the rolling stone gathers no moss. So who knows? But
Let me tell you, Melanie.
I never said I'm a rhetorician, just a debater. Geez.
I love the non sequitur show. I love modern day debate. For a while, to keep myself sane while I was doing the news job and I had to spend long periods of time waiting for information to come in, I was a member of debate forums where you would literally just engage in text debates over a series of weeks with people. I love debating,
Oh wow.
and I had some of the most. I love debating lefties in particular because I'm a lefty, which means we have like deep conversations. Like when I was talking with Mike earlier, that's the most fun I have had in a long time. If you have a debate show, if you want to do a forum show, anything like that, consider me an on-call guest for every single one. I will be there happily. I'll restream it on my channel if you want. I'm in. If you want to do it, I'm in.
Amazing.
I'll
Thank you.
contact that Letterhack fella and see if I can get him involved too. I'm not making promises for him, but I'll bug him
Okay,
about it
thanks.
for sure.
Are they even in chat? They were in chat. I haven't been keeping up.
He is, yeah.
They're not saying anything that I can see, but yeah, like in general, that just helps me motivate me to do it because it was so demotivating trying to work with a lot of these panel hosts, and they were centrist, right, or quote unquote centrist, but they were really like the enlightened centrism, both siding it. But at the end of the day, they did a better job, sympathizing with and arguing with the far right than the far left. And whenever the far left would be like, you have to do a bit better, right? Like you're not really doing like real centrism. You're kind of giving them more room than you're giving us. They would just like blast us out of the entire sphere. I feel like I was blacklisted. I don't know if I'm taking some stuff too personally because I
Yeah.
certainly, got mad, took stuff personally. It's and that's what's also demotivating is that like you tell yourself, I'm going to be professional, I'm going to do all this a certain way, but then you get because you're a leftist and you are a minority, it's so easy for them to just treat you like crap. And then how do you not take that personally?
Look, the internet
So I
is
think
an
having a
infinite
debate
ocean
space
of
that
attention. So if you feel like you lost one crowd, just keep doing your thing, and as you get better and better, eyes will come on you. It's fine. But let's you and I
and
fox
that's
around.
what I've been trying to tell myself.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. And I just wanted to say, you said that you liked modern day debates.
Love it.
It's funny because I got started through there. So if you did want to check
What?
out my channel, Melanie Cosmic Fox, yeah. My first debate was about trans athletes, actually, and that's kind of been. I have really strong talking points
you were
about
actually
that.
on it.
Yeah. I also did a tag team debate with Hannah Reloaded, if you know who that is, and that was a
I
really
have
fun time.
yes,
I got to
I'm
meet
gonna
Kay
I'm
Fellows.
actually hold up. There's too much at once.
I
Look,
think
you can't
I
get out
called
of this
myself
now.
strictly Nine Tails Cosmic Fox.
Okay. Nine Tails Cosmic Fox modern day debate.
So these are like early, like deep cuts about me. So by the way, I am very rough around the edge. In my tag team with Hannah Reloaded, she makes me look just like an absolute noob because she's very well spoken and knows what she's there to do, and I'm kind of all over the place, but which I still
Oh
am.
yeah.
But I think I try to be a bit more charismatic with it now and just roll with it. I can admit I'm
Look.
awkward.
Oh, there's a tag team. Was it by any chance? Oh, wait. Should trans women be able to compete in women's sports? I got it from 4 years ago. Didn't mean to play that music to start.
Oh, jeez. And every
Look.
time I hear that now, it's just flashbacks. good
Look, man.
flashbacks. And a lot of people say I won that debate because my opponent was really underprepared. But I've always
there's
stuck
an art.
closely to this issue, and I don't think that there are enough people who can win this debate out there.
Yeah, there's an art to debate beyond just did you make a better point? It's also how did you present it? How long did you spend in the moments where you were right versus the moments where you didn't have as clear a point? I don't hold that against you. Love of the game, man. I just respect that you were willing to go out there and make the case. I think in this modern era, it is easy to forget that debating is something of a sport. It's a healthy thing to do. It's conflict, yes, but it's organized and lovely, and I'm all for it. I'm geeked that you did this. I'll tell you this: if you don't want me to watch it on air, I won't. But if you're down
It's
for
not that embarrassing because it's not that embarrassing. All I have to point out is that I have increased my production quality since then. I just don't go on camera anymore, so I'm kind of setting up a bit of a VTuber thing where it's like a what do you call it? An avatar that moves to my voice to make it
Dude,
kind of easier on myself.
Fair enough. When I started this, that was my intention, was to do a VTube thing. That little Pixel Jake thing, that's what I wanted to be the main thing that you see. It's frustrating though, man. It's so hard to make that work. Archeo Studio, I think I was trying to use. Anyway, let me know if you figure out how to make that happen. And by the way, if you're
I'm
fetching
going for
about
the
your
most basic things.
fair enough.
I'm going for literally like I was going to code it, and then I looked at what's available under the languages that I know, and there's almost nothing for handling mic input. So now I'm going to like an OBS Studios type of plugin, and I'm crossing my fingers, but it's hopefully just going to be a one-day thing. Set it up, and then I'm planning to stream debate reviews. Now the funny thing is, because of a lot of these, there are some really evil people on the other side of the debate sphere. who definitely lean more right, even though they try to occupy the space of the left. And
Oh,
if
see,
you do
that's
too
I
good of a
wanna
job at calling them out,
mm,
yeah,
that's
they'll
I
get
have,
your
like, a
channel mass
hunger to
reported.
meet. I wanna go after folks like that. I wanna be on screen with them so I can, eat them for lunch. That is so much fun. It's satisfying. Real quick, you were saying earlier that, "Oh, well, back then, 4 years ago, my quality was not so good." Look at James. Are you kidding me with this? Look,
Oh yeah,
he used to have a terrible, terrible setup. Now he's got, if you've seen, actually, I should give context to people that aren't gigantic nerds like us. Uh, like, if you've seen modern day debate these days, it's like a show with the quality that could be on television, I think. Like, it's crisp. It's a nice little studio he's got, but it started like with this dude just
yeah,
basically with like a 480p webcam, earphones dangling out of his ear, mouth way too close to the microphone. Like, you got to
for
start
sure.
somewhere, and but he's had the sauce the whole time, and it's become a great show. I want to check out your episode. I don't know, it might be
Production quality
awkward.
wise, I like his show.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you want,
just the concept.
we can go over some of it.
Let's at least watch like the
Yeah,
first round. How about that?
sure. I don't. Yeah, like the openings maybe. If you want.
Let's do it. All right.
I don't even live at that place anymore. Gee.
Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic debate. If this is your first time here at a Modern Day Debate, want to let you know we are a nonpartisan platform that hosts debates on science, politics, and religion. And we want to let you know we really do hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you come from. We try.
All right, let's just compare your on-screen demeanor to the other person here. I think you're all right. Guy's cleaning his teeth.
Yeah, sure. My audio I think is going to be really scuffed because I had a broken lapel mic, and my plan was to hang it above me to try to use it as like a drop mic, and it did not work. And those headphones were terrible as well. So you're going to
Well,
see me adjusting those a lot.
fair enough. And I'll do the thing I should have done at the start. Gang, we're going to do a little sample of modern day debate. If you're not familiar with this channel, I think you should be, because it's a wonderful channel. I'm going to provide a link to this debate in the description. We're going to watch the first, I don't know what you'd call it, even though I'm a fan, the first round of the debate right now.
Try to host people with a ton of diversity of thought and backgrounds. And so this should be a really fun one today, folks. Want to also say we are really excited as later today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you'll see pictured in the bottom right side or corner of your screen, there will be a debate on whether or not sex work should be destigmatized. So that one should be a wild one. And you'll see on the far right side of your screen, Modern Day Debates has invaded the podcast world. So this is in addition to our YouTube channel. We're really excited about it. So if you love podcasts, hey, check us out. Feel free to rate us. And if we're not on your favorite podcast, let us know and we will work to get on there. So very excited for today's debate. I want to let you know up front that as you're listening, if you're like, I like that, I want to hear more, you can hear more. That's why I put the links of both of the speakers in the description just down there for you. And so with that, there should be a lot of fun, folks. We're going to get the ball rolling. I want to first, before we do officially start the debate, give you the format and then say hello to the speakers, as we're really just thankful to have them with us today. And so the format is going to be 5 to 10 minute openings from each side, followed by open conversation and then Q&A. So if you have a question,
I got to pause for a second because I just realized I've seen this. I watched you do this. I thought you did a great job. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Question fired into the old live chat, and want to let you know, given that Nine Tails Cosmic Fox will be taking the affirmative, they'll be basically be starting, followed by musical analysts following that, and then the open discussion as mentioned. So want to say both to Nine Tails and Music Analyst. We really appreciate you being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we agreed that Music Analyst is going to go first.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Still waking up over here. I'm okay. Mountain time. So thanks so much. And Music Analyst, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you. This is my first time being on here. I'm delighted to be here. I'm a Persian from Sweden, so excuse my English sometimes. I only spoke in English for 2.5 years. Anyways, so a brief little thing about me. I'm a creative person, singer, composer, philosopher, thinker, free thinker. I'm a in this discussion, like I'm not for trans women, competing in women's whatever sport it is. But I have one thing that I actually can relate to people like trans people, which is I've always felt odd and sticking out of the crowd throughout my whole life. I don't know what it is, but I've always been a searcher for truth and question
The mustache.
and things. Even when I was 5 years old, I was like, what is
Not
this
gonna
reality?
heckle him
Anyways, so I have one thing that I relate to people like trans women or any other people that are odd, in others' views. So I'm in no way an expert on this topic, but I have a bunch of thoughts and opinions on this, which I would want to share to see if it holds any truth or not. If it doesn't hold any truth, then I don't hold it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm after what is the truth and what is right, no matter if it's Nine Tails or me or whoever. So anyways, so I just the preparation I did for this was like, can I share my screen? I have just some things I've just put down in any which order.
Absolutely.
Just my thoughts. So we're gonna see what that is. Okay.
You bet.
So I just share the screen, right?
Yes.
Like this.
I should probably keep this full screen for a minute. We're just gonna let him play for the first round, I think.
Okay. Do we see this?
Yes. Right now we're seeing the YouTube page.
Okay. Do you see I have a little note thing. Okay. So I'm just gonna read these things. It doesn't have to correlate. What the fuck is the word? Correlate to anything. Okay. So this is what I wrote down. Doctors treat men and women differently since the bodies slightly differ. Women are made to last, like biologically in the old days of the caveman, and men made to fight and protect the family. So I'm just saying the difference between men and women. Women usually multitask better, while men single task better. Men and women store fat differently. Women gets more on the booty and the thighs. Men gets on the stomach, etc. Because women are created to store energy because they have to take care of the kids and the whole thing. But men needs the energy more accessible. Yeah. Years of testosterone are lasting. They last after puberty. No woman to man, like I've not seen. I mean, I'm not looked for it, but I've yet to hear the other way, like a woman transitioning to a man and then wanting to jump into men's sports. Okay,
That's like the worst talking
why not?
point.
Well, they don't get to gain as much as the other way around can gain.
It just he comes out the gate with
anyways.
this weird,
also
kind of
a
irrelevant,
minority can't dictate
unverifiable
to the majority. Okay,
Like some of them have some
as long as
merit
everyone is
until you examine
accepted
them
and
further.
not bullied.
Yeah, like where the fat is stored. Like what? I can't fathom where you're going with this. All I know is I've seen pictures of post-op trans men, and I wouldn't be confident boxing against them because
Yeah, for sure.
Science is pretty good, medicine's pretty good, and we're starting a lot closer than a lot closer in terms of physicality that I think a lot of these dudes are confident saying.
And
considering.
And it wasn't like when I did this debate, would not have known what to say. It wasn't until I saw Jangle's Science Lad debate Destiny on this, which is to me one of the best debates on this ever, where he explained it in the best way, where it's like pound for pound, men do have more body fat than women. But if you take that muscle, right, take away all the fat, just look at the muscle, and you ask, is this a male muscle or a female muscle? You might be able to determine a difference if there is no hormone changes based on like how many myonucleation sites there are, what they're called. They're like kind of like the cell hubs that help your muscles repair. But otherwise the muscle's the exact same. It has the exact amount of strength in it. Male muscle versus female muscle is virtually indistinguishable. It is literally how much muscle to fat women need to maintain a healthy body mass, or I don't know how to put that, hormonal balance, I think, versus men can have almost zero body fat, which is incredible. And I'll tell you right now, I having done transition, I do not have zero body fat anymore, and I do not feel very healthy if I start to lose too much body weight. So I'm not going, like, even if I was an athlete, I probably wouldn't put myself in that range because it wouldn't be healthy hormonally anymore.
Yeah, and all this stuff is just, to me, it just comes off as looking for excuses. There's no, from what I've seen, and maybe I'll get schooled in a moment. I don't. It's not in the summary here, but from what I've seen, there's not a drastic like post operation, whatever. I don't even know if that's the correct phrase. Post treatment, how in whatever form it takes. There's not like a lot of trans athletes dominating sports. And on top of that, there's so few trans people, just statistically speaking, that it's like worrying about the amount of Samoans in track and field or whatever. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe Samoans do better at track and field. There's just not a lot of Samoans. Why is this an issue?
Or what about
Relax.
Jamaicans who bobsled? Do they have an advantage?
Yeah. It's just so you got one
I
team
don't
that
know. Is
I'm
that movie
aware of.
racist? Should I mention that movie? But I'll also point out they're at a disadvantage, right? Because if trans women are losing in sports, then that takes apart their absolutism more than it takes apart our nuance side.
Yeah.
If we win, because if we win on occasion but we also lose, then that's kind of what we said would happen, right? It's a competitive thing. Sometimes people will have minute advantages, and sometimes that will show up against people who don't have those advantages. But what you realize is that almost all of the advantages that actually have a performative difference are hormone driven. And what do trans women do? They take different hormones, right? So the other advantages are things that other women can easily have advantages in, things like height, reach, frame size, and stuff like that. There are women who have, if you look at female powerlifters, right, they will easily destroy 95% of men just in a street fight. they have that much of a frame and that much body mass that I
Because they're
don't think
powerlifters. Yeah.
Exactly. And sure, like their main sport is powerlifting, so that's what they excel in. And maybe a male powerlifter with the same weight and stuff like that could outperform them. But I guarantee you, once that male powerlifter, even at the elite level, starts taking female endogenous hormones and anti-testosterone blockers, that's going away. Like all of that muscle that they have is like at least 60% of no, at least 40% of it is going to fat. Because there's so much potential there that can immediately be turned to fat. And that's what the hormones do over the course of 3 to 5 years. So when I said immediately, I mean 3 to 5 years. But once you're past it, once you transition, it's like, where did that time even go? So it feels immediate.
Yeah.
So forgive my lazy rhetoric there. I should point out, like, it does take time, right? And for people to actually make that difference, the IOC says 2 to 3 years. That seems to be at least the minimal that we can do. And I think for maybe some sports, it might even need to be longer, just because you will need the full 5 years that it seems that things take place.
All right. we're here to critique the art of the debate itself. So let's see
Sorry.
if this guy. No, sorry, I invited this. I'm enjoying. This is a weirdly, basically, if the audience ends up hating this, too bad, because this is a weirdly pleasurable thing for me right now. I actually watched this debate, and the fact that I'm talking to somebody now who was in it, I'm geeking out a little bit.
The
Let's
slight
watch
problem, the slight
what
problem
now?
is that I'm almost in my work and my boss is going to want to interact with me and follow up on everything I've done. That takes
Nope.
roughly
Alright.
15 minutes. Then I have to get home.
No worries.
It might
Tell
be
you what,
better to save this
we'll
because
save
I
it.
think it'd be fun. Even for me to recap this, I've never actually like I put it on the background when I'm doing something, and then I mostly cringe. That's what I most remember from is cringing, like, oh my god, how could I say that? But it might be nice to have someone here who's more optimistic than me or more
Yeah.
positive about it, because for me now, like I've totally reshaped and radicalized kind of my talking points. Hearing the debate with Jangles versus Destiny really helped me solidify a lot of things that I struggled with before. And on top of that, I'd already come up with like a lot of things like, well, do they not realize that if you put a trans woman to compete with men because of the hormonal change, that is infinitely more unfair than they could ever be towards a cisgendered woman.
Oh yeah.
Like they're never going to win. It's just never going to happen. They're taking testosterone blockers.
Yeah, it would be like everybody else is doping up on the race.
Exactly. But that's, and
Wild.
then like if you say segregated sports, well, what are we so worried about protecting cis women from? Because that's another common thing. They'll say like, oh, just have it differently for trans women, not thinking about like if there's the opportunity, there's the social inclusion, there's all of these things that they're worried that the cisgendered women in high school are going to be prevented from, that they're very ready to apply to trans women because they don't care.
Yeah. I guess my honest thoughts on the topic, if why not let's just let ladies compete in ladies sports, and if there ends up being a huge trend where trans women are winning all the competitions, all right, maybe then we could talk about it, but like it's been a non-issue so far. I don't know why it's suddenly an issue other than the right doesn't have a good talking point against Kamala Harris. Cosmic Fox. Wait a minute.
I would say one like
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, Cosmic Fox, Melanie Cosmic Fox, Ninetales works as well. I'm kind of separating the Ninetales from the Cosmic Fox. So if you go to my Twitter, the
Okay.
Twitter name is Melanie Cosmic Fox, but you'll see I'll have Ninetales as my banner. That's just because the Ninetales thing actually does come from Japanese lore, and I'm trying not to over appropriate it. But I do have a lot of
Once it made
respect
it
for it at the
to
same time. So it is what it is.
Naruto, it was a gift to the world at that point. Uh, no,
In
yeah, I'm
fact,
with what.
Naruto doesn't do it justice.
Oh, fair enough. It was a hell of an anime, but okay, I'll have a gander at the actual lore. That's how I learned about kappas, was from Inuyasha. So I'll probably dig this
Wikipedia is a
too.
good start actually on this. And the thing for me is that like there's just like these minute things about it, like they're alluding to a witch hunt in my life growing up. I don't want to get into it, trauma dump, but it really just spoke to me. And that's all it was, right? Like it felt like there was nothing else in the world that really kind of felt the intricacies of my life and how people saw me and treated me versus how I felt about myself. And I'm a bit of a like I'm kind of like a furry who doesn't wear furry costumes as well, if that makes sense. It's not a sexual thing for me, so
I gotcha. Well,
I
I'm
like
now
animals more
subscribed.
than people. I'm a misanthrope.
Oh no, I'm there with you, and I think the vast majority of people may be as well.
In fact, I just scared the
I'm
crap out of
subscribed
my
to your
cat.
channel now.
Oh, thank you.
Let me know if and when you put out anything else, and I'll have a gander. And let me know if you want to get together in the debate scene in some manner. You ever need another tag team partner, or if you start a show, I'm all in. That's fascinating. I'm into it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. It just feels like I scared away a lot of the debate bros who have a lot of influence, right? And now everyone's like, oh, don't talk to Melanie. She's crazy. So it's hard to find opponents at the moment, but I do have a couple people who I probably could. I don't know if I want to court them, but I'll at least try to incentivize them to debate us.
Fair enough. I'm in. And thank you
Cool.
for joining. I'm gonna
Thank you.
go back to internet videos and try to get a MAGA person to come bicker with me.
And I super appreciate the time, and thank you for all the work you're doing with the show and entertaining us, because obviously I wouldn't be here if I didn't like your show. So
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Melanie. We'll see you around.
have a great night.
Man, I've been having a hoot tonight. I like the Nine Tails, says Donald James X. I agree. I think it's fun. Oh, Nina Canadian says the next generator. Wow, my bad. The next generation of voters and leaders won't think this is worth arguing over. Young people today strive to cancel gender norms. Yeah, I agree. I think, in fact, I'm going to leave it up while I talk about it. Yes. I think that's kind of maybe the main way I feel about it. Like, I'm embarrassed that we're having this argument. It's a non-argument as far as I've seen. Like, even if, let's just say it turns out that there's like a distinct, I'm going to arbitrarily quantify it. Let's say there's a 5% advantage that a trans person has in sports, and we later find out it's like, oh, it's got nothing to do with genetics, but it's because when you're taking your medication, you can choose how much hormone of X or Y you have, and your competitors can't choose that, and so blah 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 blah. Maybe we'll find that out. I don't think that'll be the case, but maybe that's what we will find out. Let's deal with it then, because right now there's just no evidence. There's no evidence that trans folks of any gender have an advantage. Like, men's sports, women's sports, it's just the evidence is not there. And one of the reasons the evidence isn't there is because there's not that many trans folks. So to spend time ruminating about, like, is it possible? Could we conceive of a way in which this broad is going to be better at getting the long jump than that broad for this reason? Like, relax, buddy. I think you're just bored, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what inspires people to get so fired up about this thing, which I can't stress enough, appears to be a non-issue. Snixabia, it's about apples and oranges. Fair enough. Where's Wicked Foxy Dragon? Oh, yes. I agree. Great job, Melanie Fox. Melanie Cosmic Fox. Gang, for a person whose job it is to go up in front of a microphone and say words from my mouth, I'm not very good at saying mouth words. But I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to do one last appeal to the MAGAistas of the world. Would you like to debate me? Would you like to we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. There's just no way we agree on nothing, you know? I'm pretty sure most things, MAGA folks, that you think of as true and good, I will think of as not. So let's mix it up. Let's have a little fun. Let's talk turkey. I'm going to do a quick poll. It's just going to be an eyeballs poll. When this stream ends, do you want us to raid GNN, that's the Galactic News Network, or the Rational National, who is currently doing Leftist Mafia? Where do you guys want this stream to go? GNN or leftist mafia. It'll probably go to whoever responds quickest. Snixabia. I think men do. They're stronger after treatment, I suppose. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I've only met one, like, in person. Literally, I've met one trans man that I was aware of as a trans man, and he seemed exceedingly average. He was not an athlete, nor was he particularly out of shape. So I don't know. GNN says Foxy, and so GNN it shall be. Bada boom. Saved. All right, gang. The MAGA fella that showed up to say some white supremacist nonsense didn't have the heart, didn't have the chutzpah, didn't have the courage, didn't have the spine, didn't have the whatever body parts to show up and explain themselves to your old pal Jake. That's a shame. We'll keep trying. We'll get him eventually. I did immediately go after what I said I was going to do, and I was super mouthy, and I chased them off. And I'm going to work on it. I won't promise nothing. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to be welcoming enough to get these folks to talk to me, because we got to talk. The time has come. We have to talk to these folks. In the meantime, this has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and this is Donald James X.